Immortal Cultivation family, I can see the clues. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Kinks in Spiritual Contract. Impossible. Our Wong family also has late-stage foundation building cultivators. The faces of the Wong family and others were all livid, especially Wong Kylie. 10 shops, most of which were owned by their family. That means the shrinkage of the Wong family's industry, which will result in the Wong family's financial resources being unable to support 3 foundation building cultivators. It will also affect the future of young cultivators. Impossible? Then leave them all here. I'll get them myself. Lin Yi said calmly. The whole person was still so calm, always giving people the illusion that he didn't care. However, the cold sword energy in his eyes and the Kinglian sword hanging higher on his back made the faces of the Wong family members stiffen. In an instant, it was not right to agree or not to agree. Don't be afraid. If you let me kill you for a day and a night, I will let you leave. Lin Yi spoke again. Then he pointed his finger again, and the Kinglian sword instantly shone brightly, with Kinglian's rising and sword energy running wild. We agree. Wong Kai gritted his teeth and agreed extremely humiliatingly. They couldn't block that sword anymore, let alone for a day and a night. The terror of the sword cultivators was beyond their imagination. He even felt that Lin Yi had made further progress on the road of sword cultivation and might have reached the first level of the sword intent, with the sword light taking shape. He had to agree to such humiliation. Otherwise, more than 30 people from the Wong family might all have to die here. Why was Lin Yi framed by the Zifu family behind him? It was because this person was a madman with a human face. He could really do it. The deed of the shop and the 102nd level spirit trees will be handed over in a month. Wong Kai was like a deflated ball, and the Wong family members behind him all had cold eyes at this moment, but after being glared at by the Lin family, they lowered their heads again. Sign this. Lin Yi took out a parchment scroll from the storage bag and threw it over. Kinks in Spiritual Contract. The faces of the Wong family members looked ugly again when they saw the scroll, and their hands that took the scroll froze for a while. This Kinks in Spiritual Contract was issued by Kinks in Sect, one of the 3 major sects of Zhao State. Seeing the scroll is like seeing Kinks in Sect. Once the contract is signed successfully, no one will dare to violate the contract. Unless he can fight against Jinden's Henrun. Why, do you want to eat the sword? Lin Yi pointed at the Kinglian sword and spoke again. Wong Kai shrank his head when he saw the Kinglian sword and signed the Kinks in Spiritual Contract humiliatingly. After signing, all the Wong family members had to leave humiliatingly, one by one like pickled cucumbers. If you say how majestic they were before coming, then how embarrassed they are now. The old patriarch is mighty. 7th uncle is mighty. 7th uncle is mighty. 7th uncle is mighty. As soon as the Wong family left, the Lin family members cheered enthusiastically, especially those who stayed in Teoho Valley. Surviving the disaster allowed them to remain calm at ordinary times, but at this moment they had to shout mighty for their old patriarch. Only Lin Shiming was puzzled. The old patriarch was a little confused, and this group of people should all be killed. Even just now, he had thrown down 3 poisonous snake vine flower seeds. But no one noticed that Lin Shiming was also drinking spirit wine. As long as Lin Yi killed a foundation building cultivator, he would also take action at the same time to control at least 3 9th level key training cultivators. The remaining 4 9th level key training elders, plus the Lin family's overwhelming momentum, might not allow anyone from the Wong family to leave. Secrets can only be kept by the dead. Even if the secret is leaked, it is not a loss to kill so many. As long as one of the 2 foundation building cultivators is left alive, the Lin family will gain a lot. As for the 10 shops and 100 spirit trees, even if there are more resources, it is still a disaster to raise a tiger. Lin Shiming was very puzzled, so much so that he didn't say a word during the cheers just now. After Lin Yi finished fighting, he didn't say anything, and strode into the Peach Blossom Valley, leaving the rest of the people behind. Father, are you alright? I received the news from my 3rd sister, and I immediately returned to Fangmu Mountain to pass the news. Lin Shiming stepped forward to greet Lin Haoyan. On the spirit boat, he saw his father being attacked by a foundation building cultivator, and he was really sweating. The gap between foundation building and key training is definitely not just the gap between liquid true essence and gaseous spiritual energy. More importantly, Lin Yi did not have inner armor, and his second level upper grade inner armor was on Lin Shiming. It's okay, I got to experience foundation building in advance, and I gained a lot. Lin Yi said nonchalantly, and then as the head of the family, he once again commanded everyone. At this time, he did not dare to hesitate at all, and ordered the family's spiritual plant masters to go all out and start transplanting all the spiritual plants. Even if the spiritual peaches are not yet ripe, which will affect the harvest of spiritual peaches, it is not taken care of at this moment. It is better to have less trouble than more, and you have to make choices when you need to. That night, all the Lin family members were busy, and Lin Shiming was no exception. Although he was not a second-level spiritual plant master, he learned spiritual plant experience and helped on the side. With the help of system prompts, he even had some unique insights on some special spiritual plant transplanting techniques, which helped the other spiritual plant masters in the family gain something. Of course, Lin Shiming was the one who gained the most. It took 2 days to transplant the spiritual plants, a total of 1 second-level medium-grade spiritual peach tree and 48 second-level low-grade spiritual peach trees. All the jade boxes of the Lin family were used up, but no one showed a distressed look. A spiritual peach tree, if well taken care of, can be worth thousands of spiritual jades. Lin Haoxiao counted these jade boxes with a smile on his face. In the future, these spiritual peaches will be put into the treasure house. Shiming, Uncle Qi is looking for you. In the distance, the second elder's admiring voice came first, and then he appeared in front of Lin Shiming on a flying sword. Okay. I'm bothering second grandpa again. Lin Shiming saluted respectfully. You kid is really talented and lucky. Uncle Qi has come to you twice. Second elder Lin Yuki said with a smile. Second grandfather, you are too kind. Shiming knows his own weight. Lin Shiming replied modestly. After saying goodbye to Lin Yuki, Lin Shiming flew towards the cliff cave of the second-level upper-grade spiritual vein on his sword. When he arrived in front of the cliff cave, Lin Shiming jumped off the spiritual sword and then shouted respectfully towards the cliff cave. Seventh uncle. Come in. Lin Xianxi's calm voice came, and Lin Shiming stood up and flew in on his sword. Beside the familiar spiritual pond, Lin Shiming found Lin Xianxi. The latter was in the spiritual pond again. There was a lotus leaf in the spiritual pond, and Lin Xianxi was meditating on the lotus leaf. Seeing Lin Shiming coming, Lin Xianxi also stood up. Do you have any questions? Lin Xianxi said. To answer the seventh uncle, Shiming is indeed confused. The Wang family was obviously ambitious that day, how could they be easily forgiven? Lin Shiming said what he didn't understand, and the unhappiness in his heart was also released. This matter. Lin Xianxi smiled, and then took out a jade bottle. Actually, I had this idea at that time. Lin Shiming was also familiar with this jade bottle, which was the jade bottle he used to store the second-grade premium spirit wine. When the jade bottle came into Lin Shiming's hands, it was empty, and at this moment, Lin Shiming finally understood. His admiration for this great uncle rose again. At that time, Lin Xianxi had not recovered to his peak at all, and he relied on the monkey wine, just like Lin Shiming used the monkey wine to stimulate the growth of the snake vine flower. That time, Wang Qiu begged for mercy for the first time, and Lin Shizu also took action, but was blocked by the two foundation-building masters of the Wang family. And when he swung the sword again, there was no spiritual energy, and the great uncle had not recovered to the middle stage of the foundation-building period. Please read on, and by the way, big guys who have recommendations, please give some recommendations, please. Chapter 27 Transplanting Spiritual Veins. After understanding the key points, Lin Shiming couldn't help but sigh at the old patriarch's wisdom and courage. At that time, he dared to directly change from 3 shops to 10. And he really fooled people. Of course, if he honestly only wanted 3 shops, maybe the old foxes in the Wang family might not believe it. Lin Shiming thought of Wang Kali's words, saying that the old patriarch had been corrupt for 30 years, and he was probably deceiving the ancestor. For the top leaders of the Lin family, they naturally knew that it had only been more than half a month since Lin Xianxi got the monkey wine. But the Wang family didn't know. When dealing with these old foxes, you really have to be careful everywhere. Lin Shiming couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The seeds of that snake vine flower are all in your hands, right? Can you activate it? Lin Yi spoke again. Obviously, other members of the Lin family didn't know the origin of the snake vine flower, but the old patriarch knew. Yes, because Shiming practiced the wood vine technique and the green wood technique, and saw that these seeds looked like wood vine seeds, he tried them out. He didn't expect them to be so powerful. Lin Shiming nodded and replied. He didn't dare to hide anything from the old patriarch Lin Shiming. But what he didn't understand was that since the old patriarch knew about it, why didn't he tell it? These seeds are equivalent to top-grade magic tools. He didn't believe that the rest of the family knew that the snake vine flower had such power and didn't practice the green wood technique. You know, if a 9th level elder has 10 snake vine flowers to help him, it will definitely be no problem to fight 3 people at the same level. Really? Lin Yi was obviously a little excited, and then asked Lin Shiming to demonstrate it. After feeling the infusion of spirit that Lin Shiming had completed, Lin Yi spoke again. Well, you prepare for a few days, and go to King Suan sect with me in a few days to meet my master, Zixuan Sanrun. After Lin Yi finished speaking, he didn't give Lin Shiming a chance to think, and waved his hand to let Lin Shiming go down to prepare. Lin Shiming touched his nose, a little confused. But he naturally did not dare to refuse or criticize the order of the old patriarch of the Lin family. He went down to prepare honestly. At this time, there were more than 20 small wooden houses in the open space of Teoho Valley. After Lin Shiming applied for one for cultivation, he moved in. The small wooden house was quite simple, and for a cultivator, there was no need for any furniture. A stone bed and a stone table were enough for meditation. The most taboo for cultivators is impetuous, and only those who can practice hard can achieve great achievements. As for food, they started fasting in the key training period, taking fasting pills and practicing true key. As soon as he arrived at the wooden house, Lin Shiming had time to take out an exquisite storage bag and began to check it. This was from the late cultivator of the Wang family. As for the name, Lin Shiming didn't know, and he didn't need to know. He was just a family member in the late key training period. The foundation building cultivators of the Wang family all fled in a panic, but he was not afraid. At most, he would be cautious when traveling. Lin Shiming took out 3 spiritual swords. The top-grade spiritual sword was fine, but the 2 middle-grade ones had lost their spiritual energy. I'm afraid they would have to ask a master of weapon refining to reshape their spiritual patterns. But even so, this 2nd-level middle-grade spiritual sword could be sold for dozens of spiritual stones. Of course, it would be more valuable if it was reshaped. Needless to say, the 2nd-level top-grade spiritual sword could be sold for at least 700 to 800 spiritual stones. In addition to the 3 spiritual swords, there were more than 300 spiritual stones and more than a dozen spiritual talismans in the storage bag of the yellow-robed monk, but they were all 2nd-level middle-grade spiritual talismans. To Lin Shiming, they were not particularly valuable. A late-stage monk who was so arrogant actually had only this much wealth. Lin Shiming shook his head and despised him in his heart. Then he put all the spiritual objects into the storage bag and completed the classification of all the items. Lin Shiming felt a movement of the spiritual beast bag again. It was obvious that the 2 masters were hungry again. He released the 2 monsters, the golden-winged mantis and the red-haired demon monkey, and the 2 beasts looked at Lin Shiming eagerly. After more than 10 days of getting along, the 2 beasts are much more familiar with each other and will not compete with each other like before. Instead, they have developed a tacit understanding, one on the left and one on the right. One squeaked and the other groaned, asking Lin Shiming for spiritual water, spiritual wine and spiritual food. Lin Shiming also followed the usual practice, and one beast gave them a pat on the head. The 2 beasts dodged in tacit understanding, and then opened their eyes wide. Squeak. Ank. The look of not giving food and not giving pats made Lin Shiming feel very interesting. After feeding the spirit beasts, Lin Shiming began his daily practice. As a cultivator with 3 spiritual roots, persistent practice is his greatest enlightenment. Water accumulates into a lot, and practicing every day will lead to a broken mirror in the future. One day later, the Lin family finally collected all the resources of the Peach Blossom Valley and dug a lot of soil for cultivating spiritual peaches. This can increase the survival rate of transplants and keep the spiritual peaches mature with enough nutrition. Everyone in the Lin family gathered in front of the cliff cave, and saw Lin Yi with white hair and green clothes flying into the air, holding an unknown spiritual disc in his hand. It was time to transplant the spiritual vein. As a foundation-building cultivator, Lin Yi had a lifespan of 250 years, so he naturally had a secondary occupation, a third-level spiritual seeker. Lin Haoyong, who was standing next to him, watched very carefully. As a second-level superior spiritual seeker, it was definitely a great fortune to watch a third-level spiritual seeker transplant a second-level superior spiritual vein with a spiritual pool. As the spiritual spells in Lin Yi's hand became more and more complicated, the extremely rich spiritual energy in the spiritual disc seemed to wake up. It turned into dragon-like spiritual energy out of thin air. In the void, Lin Yi even seemed to hear the roar of a dragon. Collect. Lin Yi shouted softly after casting the last spiritual spell, and then the dragon-like spiritual energy instantly rushed towards the cliff cave. In a blink of an eye, the spiritual energy nearby began to rise steadily. And at some point, the spiritual energy began to slowly fade away. Then Lin Yi and others saw that the dragon-like spiritual energy suddenly picked up a bright spiritual energy ball from the ground, and above the ball, there was also a dragon-shaped spiritual energy rotating, and below it, there was a mini spiritual pool. Finally, all of it entered the spiritual disc in Lin Yi's hand. Lin Yi skillfully turned his hands and pinched the formula, put away the spiritual disc, and exhaled a breath of turbid air. At this point, the spiritual vein has been extracted into the spiritual disc. Just put it into the spiritual vein of Fangmu Mountain when you return to Fangmu Mountain, and apply the secret method to improve the spiritual vein of Fangmu Mountain. With the loss of the spiritual vein, Lin Yi can clearly feel that the spiritual energy around is constantly weakening. At the same time, looking around, the entire Peach Blossom Valley has completely changed, with potholes everywhere. A few ordinary peach trees have also become withered and yellow in the great changes, and even a few have been accidentally injured. The beautiful scenery more than half a month ago is no longer the same as it was before. Lin Yi sighed in his heart. But he firmly believes that in the future on Fangmu Mountain, the peach blossoms will bloom more brightly and beautifully. In the spring breeze next year, Fangmu Mountain will be pink again, with bees and butterflies. They rush back to Fangmu Mountain from Teoho Valley on the family's third-level spiritual boat. After 5 or 6 hours, they arrived at Fangmu Mountain. On Fangmu Mountain, the Lin family placed the transplanted spiritual veins into the third-level spiritual veins. It was visible to the naked eye that the spiritual energy of the entire Fangmu Mountain rose. However, it was still far from the third-level upper-quality spiritual veins. This made many elders of the family feel that it was a bit imperfect. After another 2 days, Lin Yi finally received Lin Yi's voice transmission. From now on, he will rush to Kingsuan Mountain to say hello to Lin Yi's master Zixuan Sanrun. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Immortal Staircase Trial. Kingsuan Mountain is located in Qingzhou, away from the Qingyuan mountain range, and in the middle of Zhao State. It is so high that it is difficult to see its peak with the naked eye. It is also the largest mountain in Qingzhou. The foot of Kingsuan Mountain is covered with dense vegetation and mostly forests, while the peak is covered with ice and snow all year round, as cold as winter. You can experience spring, summer, autumn and winter in Kingsuan Mountain alone. Lin Yi followed Lin Yi and looked at the giant peak in front of him. He felt that the mountain was so high that he looked up to it for a moment, like a sacred mountain. He was just a drop in the ocean, just a gnat between his fingers. There are 108 steps of the immortal ladder at the foot of Kingsuan sect. The sect is located after you climb it. Lin Yi said in front. As he said that, he took the lead and saw a ladder to heaven in front of them. On the ladder, there were still many cultivators walking up the mountain, just like ordinary people climbing the mountain, which made Lin Yi feel quite novel. This immortal staircase is one of the foundations of Kingsuan sect. All foundation building and key training cultivators are not allowed to ascend by flying ladders, but must climb step by step. You will know the mystery of it after experiencing it for one step. Lin Yi explained beside him, and then waved his hand, motioning Lin Yi to try it. Lin Yi did not hesitate, nodded and went up. However, when he took the first step, he felt that the whole body suddenly increased in gravity, and the spiritual power in his body paused. and then it began to disperse. This. Lin Shiming was shocked and stepped back in a hurry. Gravity is a small matter. If the refined spiritual energy dispersed and disappeared, it would mean that several years of cultivation would be wasted. However, the magical thing was that when Lin Shiming stepped back, the spiritual energy was restored again, and the previous sense of gravity and oppression disappeared. If Lin Shiming had not felt that the spiritual power seemed to be condensed a little, he would have thought it was an illusion. Does this staircase have the effect of condensing the practice? Lin Shiming said with some surprise. This immortal ladder does have the effect of refining the skills, but non-disciples of this sect only have one chance to experience it. The second time you climb the immortal ladder, you will only feel the pressure of gravity, and there will be no progress in the skills. This is also a reward from Kingsuan sect, as a giant sect, to all the subordinate families or independent practitioners who come to worship. Lin Yi introduced it on the side. Obviously, he had been here countless times. Lin Shiming also understood the trick after listening to it. It is a sweet date in a big stick, which makes you more afraid of the sect. Continue to climb. You can practice the King Muju to practice the small Haoshan, and control the spiritual energy not to dissipate so quickly. I will protect you. Lin Yi proposed again. Lin Shiming was not shy. After taking a deep breath, he stepped into the immortal ladder again. This time he was well prepared and no longer panicked. Concentrating and calming down, the King Muju began to operate in his body, and the operation of the small Haoshan was not so smooth. After all, the huge gravity was also a big resistance to him. After trying 10 breaths, Lin Shiming completed the smooth operation of the small Haoshan. The spiritual energy was dispersing and condensing at the same time. Lin Shiming continued to climb the stairs. It usually took Lin Shiming a few minutes to walk up the stairs, but at this moment, it took Lin Shiming a full hour to walk up 72 stairs. At this time, his face was already covered with sweat. In addition, most of the spiritual energy had been dispersed, and more spiritual energy was dispersing uncontrollably. When he climbed the 100th step, Lin Shiming felt that his whole body was exhausted, and the spiritual energy was dispersed to the extreme. Only the spiritual energy that had just been circulated by the King Muju Zhao's Haoshan was left. With the last step, all the spiritual energy was restored and gravity was released. He felt that his whole body was as light as a swan, and the spiritual energy was condensed like iron. Lin Shiming was also surprised to find that the spiritual energy in his body increased a little. Just this small step of practice was equivalent to half a month of hard practice. In an instant, the size of Kingsuan sect expanded a little more in Lin Shiming's mind. The giant sect is really incredible, and can turn decay into magic. While Lin Shiming was sighing, he also looked back at other cultivators, including some family elders who took their young disciples to climb the mountain to practice. His feelings were deepened again. This trip to Kingsuan sect, just this harvest alone has made him extremely satisfied. It is true that an old man in the family is like a treasure. If it were an ordinary casual cultivator, there would be no such opportunity. Not bad, it took only 2 hours to climb the immortal ladder. The degree of spiritual energy condensation and perseverance are not worse than those of ordinary excellent sect disciples. Lin Yi was obviously very satisfied and couldn't help praising him. Seventh uncle is too flattering. Shiming was already in a mess for just a step of stairs. It's really not good. Lin Shiming smiled bitterly. After climbing the immortal ladder, Lin Shiming actually understood his own shortcomings. His body was weak and his spiritual power was not condensed enough. You should know that King Muju is originally superior in spiritual energy condensation. It's really wrong to be like this. Young man, don't be too modest. Yu Qing brought Shiji here 3 years ago, and it was nothing special. Lin Yi spoke again, which made Lin Shiming quite stunned. His elder brother had also been here. The most surprising thing was that his speed was not as fast as that of a man with 3 spiritual roots. For a moment, Lin Shiming seemed to have a picture of his elder brother climbing the ladder breathlessly in his mind. Let's go to the reception outside the sect now, to meet the old master. After walking along the stone path for hundreds of meters, they finally arrived at the reception of the Kingsuan sect. The reception of the Kingsuan sect is a large hall. From the door plaque to the floor threshold of the attic, it is extremely magnificent, with dragon carvings and embroidery, and it is extraordinary. Several disciples wearing Kingsuan sect's Taoist robes are receiving the scattered cultivators and families one by one. Most of the scattered cultivators want to pass the test of King Suan's sect to see if they can become disciples of the sect in one step, while most of the family disciples, like the Lin family at the moment, have quite a few connections in the sect. After Lin Yi and others reported, some disciples of the sect threw out the sound transmission talisman to communicate and hand over. Soon, a special cultivator led Lin Yi and others to the mountain gate. The destination of this trip is a group of purple attic buildings. The cave attic of Zixuan Sanren is here. As soon as they arrived at the door, there was a young Taoist disciple who seemed to have been waiting for a long time. "Junior brother, the master is inside." "Thank you very much, senior brother." Lin Yi bowed his hands, and then took out a small pot of second-level high-quality spiritual wine from the storage bag and handed it to the latter. "Junior brother, what is this?" Senior brother used to pay much attention to junior brother. "Junior brother hasn't seen you for 30 years. I specially gave you a pot of wine as an apology. I hope senior brother will not despise it." Seeing this, the latter finally accepted it. His nose moved slightly, and his face was more smiling. Lin Yi continued to lead Lin Shiming to the hall. When he arrived in the hall, Lin Shiming soon saw an old man in purple robes, with a fury-like appearance and white hair. The disciple and his descendants pay their respects to the master. Lin Yi bowed, and Lin Shiming also spoke. Shiming pays his respects to Zixuan Sanren. Chapter 29, Become Zixuan's disciple. After 30 years, you finally came to see me, master. Zixuan Sanren sat on the red Nanmu armchair, holding a sleeve with one hand and brewing a can of spiritual tea with the other. "Shake it and cover it." He never looked at Lin Yi from beginning to end. "Master, please punish me. Xianzi is just a nominal disciple, but you have troubled me." Lin Yi kowtowed again, and Lin Shiming knelt beside him. Zixuan old man picked up the teacup indifferently, sniffed the tea, and then took a sip. After a long time, he sighed. "You know, I can help you settle that matter." The words on his lips seemed so light, but no one doubted the strength of these words. "Xianzi is just a nominal disciple. How dare you let master break the rules of the sect?" Zixuan old man took another sip of tea, looked at Lin Yi with his deep eyes, and then continued to look at the tea without answering. Of course, for Lin Yi, no answer is the best answer. "Master, this time I came here to trouble you with two things. First, Xianzi wants to avenge the destruction of the Dao. Second, Xianzi brought a younger generation who, like the ancestors Hengxing, can cross levels to stimulate the snake vine flower. He is suspected to be an invisible spirit of wood attribute. I beg the ancestor to accept him as a registered disciple and pass on the method of the ancestor Zhengxing to revitalize our Lin family." Lin Yi's two requests shocked not only the old man Zixuan in front of him, but also Lin Shiming. He didn't expect that Lin Yi brought him here to give him a great fortune. He didn't expect that the snake vine flower was actually left by the ancestors Hengxing. It was also the first time that he knew that the ancestors Hengxing practiced a wood attribute method and said that he had an invisible spirit. In this world, in addition to spiritual roots, there are geniuses who are more gifted than spiritual roots, that is, spiritual bodies, and spiritual bodies must also be heavenly spiritual roots. Of course, nothing is absolute in the world. Some people with double spiritual roots and triple spiritual roots will also have spiritual bodies, and they will only show improvement after they are upgraded to minor supernatural powers through acquired secret methods. In other words, only after breaking through the purple mansion can we know whether there is a hidden spiritual body. However, Lin Shiming also calmly thought that his seventh uncle was a little excited today, and these requests were too unreasonable. For the children of the family, the sect will not recruit them unless the children of the family leave the family and take the sect as the main body in the future. Among them, some special existences are registered disciples. For some geniuses of the family, King Suan's sect, as the upper sect, will also let the elders of the sect bind these family geniuses to the sect in the form of registered disciples. However, this matter is obviously more beneficial to the children of the family. When they grow up, they are nothing more than protecting the sect at critical moments, but they are not bound by the sect at ordinary times, and they can also practice the powerful skills of the sect. Lin Shiming believes that he is not a genius and it is difficult to enter the eyes of the Purple Mansion elders. Not to mention the method of the ancestors Hengxing, at least the Purple Mansion skills, I am afraid that they have reached the ground level. When the ancestors Hengxing left the sect, He was unable to take his own secret method with him and pass it on to his descendants. Even the first one, Lin Shiming, felt a little too reluctant. If Lin Xianzi wanted to take revenge, he would naturally have to face the Zifu family. In other words, Zifu Sanren must fight against another Zifu Sanren. Lin Shiming's heart was already beginning to be confused. He knew that half of the reason why his seventh uncle came here was probably for him. Of course, it was not only Lin Shiming who was confused, but also Lin Xianzi. Zixuan Sanren raised his eyebrows, and suddenly he became interested. Your sword light has split. The second sentence was also not answered, but asked back. When Lin Xianzi heard it, his face was immediately excited. On his body, a green lotus appeared, accompanied by several sword ki leaking out. This is the first level of the realm of understanding the sword intent. Okay, I agree. Zixuan Sanren finally nodded. Then Lin Xianzi looked at Lin Shiming. Shiming, why don't you pay respect to the master and perform the ceremony of serving tea and water? Greetings, master. Lin Shiming kowtowed and saluted, and then took a teacup from Lin Xianzi with both hands. He turned around and offered the spiritual tea to Zixuan Sanren with both hands. The latter took the teacup and drank the tea gently, and the matter was done. This was the ceremony for the registered disciple. If it was replaced with a direct disciple, a ceremony for accepting disciples would have to be held, and the process would be much more complicated. Okay, since we are meeting for the first time, I will give you a top-grade copper ring defense magic weapon to protect you. In addition, remember not to rely on my name as a master and do things that harm the world and are immoral when you are outside. The simple ceremony, coupled with the simple gift of treasure, came to an end. Then Lin Xianzi divided 7 of the 10 shops he got from the Wang family and handed them over to the sect, or it can be said that he handed them over to the elder Zixuan Sanren of the sect. Lin Shiming watched from the side and couldn't help but admire his 7th uncle even more. If the Wang family is honest, it will be fine. If they are not, then the Wang family will suffer a lot. After leaving the contact information for the connection, Lin Xianzi took Lin Shiming away first. Zixuan Sanren will give Lin Shiming the matter of the technique in 3 days. Of course, Lin Shiming has too many doubts, and he finally saw that since the 7th uncle showed the sword light to differentiate the first level of the sword energy realm, Zixuan Sanren's eyes suddenly changed. In addition, Lin Shiming also has many puzzles about the technique of the ancestors' hexing. Why can he catalyze the snake vine flower and suspect that there is an invisible spirit? However, Lin Xianzi did not say anything. As a junior, Lin Shiming could only continue to follow behind. The next destination of the two is Qingxuan City at the foot of Qingxuan Mountain, where there is the largest market in Qingzhou, Qingxuan Market. Compared with the remote Xingzhou, Qingxuan Market is many times more prosperous. Even the Zifu Sanren, who are not common in Xingzhou, are seen in Qingxuan Market. Here, only the Purple Mansion family, or the extremely powerful old-fashioned foundation building family, can open a shop here. Even the old rival a few days ago, the Wang family, did not have a shop here. And there are treasures from the 2nd to the 3rd level, as long as you have enough spirit stones. Xingzhou needs foundation building pills, which are also auctioned once every 10 years in Qingxuan Market. At this time, Lin Shiming's system prompt sounded again. Please go to the stall area, you will get a recipe for the beast raising pill. Lin Shiming did not expect that as soon as he arrived in Qingxuan City, the system would bring such a big reminder. His 2 monsters are relatively strong, but they are too young. It will take some time for them to grow up. This beast raising pill is like a long drought for him. I have been taking medicine for toothache recently, riding slowly, and my condition is not good, so the update is a little delayed, but I am still very grateful for your support. I have received the recommendation votes and comments. Thank you everyone, and I also urge everyone to continue to follow and support. Thank you, all readers. Chapter 30, Recipe for the Beast Breeding Pill. Qinghai Unfang City is divided into 2 areas. One is the free trade area, which is also the stall area, and the other is the shop area, which is also the location of the auction hall. The scale of the stall area is obviously smaller than that of the shop area, but on the contrary, the stall area is more lively. The monks coming and going kept walking and stopping. Lin Shiming followed Lin Xianzi to the stall area. As a monk in the foundation building period, Lin Xianzi naturally had little interest in the stall area. After a few glances, he walked towards the shop area. Seeing that Lin Shiming's eyes kept wandering and he was obviously interested in the stall area, he raised his hand and said, "I still have to meet a few old friends, you can go shopping by yourself." "Thank you, Uncle Seven." Lin Shiming waved his hand quickly. He was worried that he could not find a reason to buy the recipe for the beast-nurturing pill. After saying goodbye to Lin Xianzi, Lin Shiming also began to wander around by himself, because the system prompt was only a rough idea, and for Lin Shiming, he still needed to think about it. The cultivators in the stall area were basically independent cultivators, showing off their treasures. Some were clamoring for the inheritance of the foundation building cave, and some were clamoring for the ancestral treasures. But Lin Shiming shook his head and walked away after a sweep of his spiritual sense. After strolling for a long time, Lin Shiming did find some good things, such as elixirs for cultivation, spiritual essence pills, and some spiritual medicine seeds. Although these are not necessary things, the former can speed up the speed of cultivation, and the latter can improve the level of spiritual planting. Lin Shiming also took out spiritual stones to buy them one by one, and the transaction price was indeed cheaper than that of the major business alliances. But what made Lin Shiming anxious was that from beginning to end, he did not see any recipes for animal breeding pills, all of which were some basic spells that were common in the cultivation world, and he basically knew these spells when he was a teenager. Selling spiritual beast eggs and spiritual beast meat. Suddenly, Lin Shiming heard a shout. Thinking of the golden-winged mantis eggs he bought before, he was indeed quite interested in the egg seller. Walking to the stall, I saw a middle-aged monk wearing a black spirit-blocking veil, waving at the monks passing by. At his feet, there was a small stall made of golden silk, which looked very attractive. On the stall, there was an egg as big as a basin and some spirit beast meat that was hard to tell what kind it was, but it was full of spiritual energy and was obviously not an ordinary beast. Most of the people who came and went were very interested in the bird eggs. When spirit birds grow up, they can fly much faster than cultivators' flying swords, and they can save lives at critical moments, so there was an endless stream of people asking about it. Don't worry, this is the egg of the golden eagle, which flies fast and has strong attack power. If I hadn't bought an expensive treasure recently and had no spirit stones to practice, I wouldn't sell it myself. The middle-aged monk patted his chest and assured everyone. Some monks with a wide range of experience gave a positive answer after touching the beast eggs. "Dao, how much is it?" 800 spirit stones. The middle-aged monk's tone of voice was unquestionable, but with a spirit-blocking veil, everyone couldn't see his expression. As soon as these words came out, many cultivators' faces fell. They were all casual cultivators. 800 spirit stones could buy a relatively good top-grade magic weapon. It was too much of a gamble to exchange it for a golden eagle egg that might only be useful when it was unknown. Lin Shiming, who was standing by, also followed and walked up. Looking at the eagle egg in front of him, he was also a little tempted for a moment, but he himself did not have so many spirit stones. Of course, he also had a lot of good treasures, such as hundreds of kilograms of spirit water and second-level medium-grade monkey wine. However, if he exchanged it in public, his 6th-level key training level would inevitably be targeted. "Dao, how is it?" The middle-aged cultivator was a little disappointed when he saw everyone shaking their heads and sighing at first, but when he saw Lin Shiming coming over, he instantly became energetic. "How much do you sell this spirit beast meat for?" After hesitating again and again, Lin Shiming still did not choose to buy the golden eagle egg. Spiritual meat, all of them are second-stage mid-stage spiritual beast meat, with abundant spiritual energy and very good preservation, at least 1 spiritual stone per pound. The middle-aged cultivator's tone became bad when he saw that Lin Shiming had no intention of buying eggs, and he even continued to shout when Lin Shiming was looking at the meat. Lin Shiming was not annoyed, and chose 100 pounds of spiritual meat, ready to exchange food for the 2 masters' spiritual beasts. However, when handing over spiritual stones in one hand and meat in the other, Lin Shiming saw that the middle-aged cultivator actually had a storage bracelet and a spiritual beast bracelet in his hand. This storage bracelet and spiritual beast bracelet are space treasures similar to storage bags and spiritual beast bags, with similar properties and values, but as far as he knows, storage bags are generally more commonly used in the territory of Kingswan sect. The person in front of him is from the spiritual beast sect. Lin Shiming suddenly thought that perhaps the recipe for the beast-raising pill might be in the hands of this cultivator. He couldn't find it, and it must be that the cultivator in front of him didn't put it out. Fellow Taoist, I do have an idea for the spirit beast tig, but I'm really short of spirit stones. Why don't we go to the trading room next door and I'll show you my treasure? Lin Shiming thought of the recipe for the beast-raising pill, and at this moment he didn't care whether he was in the limelight. He couldn't afford to lose the beast-raising pill. Okay. But the rent for the trading room has to be paid by fellow Taoist. The middle-aged cultivator was silent for a while, but still agreed. In the stall area, there are also trading rooms for rent, which is to protect some casual cultivators who have valuables to trade. It's just that spirit stones are charged, and the fee is higher than the 3 yuan per hour for the stall, 5 spirit stones per hour. Lin Shiming naturally nodded in agreement. The middle-aged cultivator rolled up the stall, put away the remaining things, and followed Lin Shiming to the trading room. After confirming that the spirit isolating ray and the sound isolating town were both opened, Lin Shiming took out a jade bottle magic tool, which contained a full 100 kilograms of spirit water. In a way, spirit water and spirit stones are the same universal items. After all, they can be used for cultivation and to restore spiritual energy. I'm an alchemist. I usually use my spiritual stones to buy spiritual water. It shouldn't be a problem to exchange it with spiritual water. Lin Shiming handed the spiritual bottle to the middle-aged monk for the latter to check. It's not a problem. But 1 pound of spiritual water can only be worth 8 spiritual stones. The middle-aged monk needed cultivation resources, so spiritual stones and spiritual water would be fine, but there was still some dissatisfaction in his tone in order to lower the price. Are you kidding, fellow Taoist? Or do you think spiritual water is just a common commodity? Lin Shiming was already familiar with these routines, so how could he let him lower the price? It can resist up to 9 spiritual stones. The middle-aged monk paused for a few breaths and finally spoke. Okay, but fellow Taoist should have other treasures. I'm an alchemist, so I have enough spiritual water. Lin Shiming spoke nonchalantly on the surface, as if he was really a wealthy alchemist, but he began to get nervous inside. If there is no recipe for the beast-raising pill, or if the recipe for the beast-raising pill is not for sale, then things will be troublesome. Yes. The middle-aged monk spoke without thinking, and then took out several things from the storage bag. Spirit beast cage, spirit beast skin, spirit beast meat, and finally paused, and took out a jade slip. Dao, my ancestral things are all here. The middle-aged monk showed everything to Lin Shiming one by one. Lin Shiming kept nodding and saying yes, but in his heart he was extremely contemptuous. This reason is unique. The blood breath of this spirit beast skin jade slip has not been completely dried up. Your ancestor is really young. Chapter 31 Purple Wood Heart Sutra. In the trading room. What is this jade slip of yours? Although it was most likely the jade slip of the recipe for the soul-cultivating pill, Lin Shiming couldn't help asking. Since there was already a mention of an alchemist, it wasn't abrupt for Lin Shiming to ask. This is a good thing, the recipe for the soul-cultivating pill, which can speed up the growth of spirit beasts. It's a perfect match for your golden eagle. When the middle-aged cultivator heard that Lin Shiming really asked about the recipe first, he began to show off passionately. However, Lin Shiming shook his head and said, the main ingredient of the soul-cultivating pill is not easy to find, and your jade slip is not inherited from your ancestors. As soon as he said this, the middle-aged man's chest rose and fell, his breathing became rapid, and his emotions fluctuated. However, Lin Shiming didn't see his facial expression, so this also confirmed his guess. Seeing that the middle-aged cultivator didn't speak, Lin Shiming continued, I'm not a fool. If you want to rip me off for this kind of recipe that can be copied at will, then you can just keep these things. Lin Shiming's 2 sentences were half a warning and half a guide. The middle-aged cultivator was extremely angry, and his previous eloquence was no longer present. Instead, he said coldly, take away 300 spirit stones, and 200 spirit stones for the animal skin materials. Also, you have made a heavenly oath that you have never seen me. Okay. Lin Shiming only wanted the recipe, so he naturally wouldn't care about anything. At this point, if he still couldn't guess that the man in front of him had killed someone to steal the treasure, then he would have lied in vain. It's likely that the person killed was a young cultivator of a high status in the Spirit Beast sect, otherwise he wouldn't have run directly from the Spirit Beast sect to the Kingswan sect. Lin Shiming took out another 50 kilograms of spirit water, and after the exchange, the two separated. Coming out of the trading house, Lin Shiming smiled bitterly again. He thought he was rich now, but after a trade, There was not much spirit water left, and there were 2 foodies. No, there might be 3 foodies, who just spot a golden eagle. Lin Yi felt even more confused. After using the sound transmission note to contact his 7th uncle, he learned that the latter had rented an inn. As soon as he entered the room, Lin Yi glanced at Lin Yi, and then said lightly, "What did you buy? So many tails." "A golden eagle egg." Lin Yi did not hide it and told the whole process. "Then you, the eagle, be careful, or you may be held accountable." Lin Yi frowned and reminded. "Thank you for your reminder, Uncle 7th grandfather. Shiming knows what's going on." After Lin Yi reminded him, he asked Lin Yi to take out all the things and check them with his foundation building consciousness. After finding no spiritual mark, he nodded and continued to meditate quietly. Lin Yi also quickly entered the room and began his daily practice. After the monks who followed outside felt the spiritual power of the foundation building monk, they all left in disappointment. 3 days later, Lin Yi received news from Zixuan Sanrun, and went to King Suan sect and got a jade slip. The jade slip was the purple wood heart sutra that the Lin family's ancestors Hangsing practiced. The purple wood heart sutra is not a ground level technique, but only a top grade Zhuan level technique. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that this purple wood heart sutra actually came with a secret technique, the purple wood Zuanshan sword formation. Compared with the King Muju, the purple wood heart sutra not only has a refining effect that is several times that of the King Muju, but also has a greater catalytic effect on spiritual plants and a greater blessing for cultivators. It is even mentioned in the technique that the purple wood heart sutra can also increase the lifespan of cultivators. As we all know, the lifespan of the key refining stage is 2 Jiazi, the limit of the foundation building stage is 250 years, and when it comes to the purple mansion stage, the lifespan has reached 500 years, and if it is the legendary giant and cultivator, the lifespan is a full 1000 years. Whether it is the effect of refining spiritual energy or the effect of catalyzing spiritual plants, the purple wood heart sutra has won his heart, and it can be said to be the most suitable technique for him at present. The only flaw is that it only has the content of the technique before breaking through the purple mansion. The content after the purple mansion requires Lin Yi to make great contributions to the sect before he can obtain it. Lin Yi didn't care. He was only at the 6th level of key training now, and it was still too far from the purple mansion. When he got to the purple mansion, it would not be so difficult to find a way. After obtaining the skills, Lin Yi was naturally more grateful to his 7th uncle. At the same time, his doubts became deeper and deeper. The 7th uncle and Zixuan Sanren must have reached some kind of agreement. However, Lin Yi asked a few questions in a roundabout way, but they were all interrupted decisively by Lin Yi. After dealing with the skills, the 2 of them set off for Qingyuan Market. They were accompanied by another direct disciple of Zixuan Sanren, that is, Senior Brother Z, who Lin Yi handed over the wine, Zian. Although he was about the same age as Lin Yi, his cultivation had reached a late stage of foundation building. Lin Yi also understood that the appearance of the senior brother was not only to connect with the shops in Qingyuan Market, but also to support the Lin family. In front of a desolate street in Qingyuan Market, the old decorations, matched with the brand new plaques, made the shops look so abrupt and out of place. Lin Yuking and Lin Haoyun, along with the children of the Lin family, looked at the 10 shops in front of them and were immediately furious. The Wang family did give them shops, but the shops in front of them were at the corner of Qingyuan Market, and they were the warehouses of the shops in front of them and the places where the monks and shop assistants practiced. It was a long way from the bustling market street. These shops could not make a profit of 1,000 spiritual stones a year, and they were considered business geniuses. But the Lin family could not say anything, because the Wang family did give them 10 shops. And the spiritual plants given were 100 dry spiritual trees, either old or half dead. Even if the spiritual plant master cultivated them carefully, the future benefits would be few and far between. This Wang family is too much? The elders were fine, but the monks of the Hao and Shi generations were all furious. Notify Uncle 7. Lin Haoyun was also a little helpless. This was what a family lacked foundation building monks. Not only did they not have the right to speak, but they were also targeted everywhere. At this moment, a spiritual boat appeared in the sky, and 3 figures fell from the spiritual boat. What happened? Lin Yi fell first, his white hair was very conspicuous. 7th uncle, this is the shop given to us by the Wang family. As the head of the family, Lin Yi explained the attitude of the Wang family and even the spiritual tree of the shop one by one. He did not exaggerate. As the head of the family, he not only had to consider the emotions of the people and the interests of the family, but also the real combat power of the two families. The one coming now was not Wang Kaili and Wang Kiu of the Wang family, who were in the early stage of foundation building, but Wang Yunqi, who was older in generation. He was also the only late foundation building cultivator in the Wang family. Let's go. Lin Yi nodded, his face still so calm. The Lin family also trusted their old patriarch very much, and all of them were very calm and followed him. After a big circle, they finally arrived at the bustling street. One by one, the cultivators walked in the stalls. Unlike Qingxuanfang City, this place was close to Qingyuan Mountain Range. All the scattered cultivators went to Qingyuan Mountain Range in groups to hunt monsters. The demand for quality talismans and quality elixirs is relatively high, so naturally people will go to shops with better quality assurance. If the talismans bought from the casual cultivators' stalls are misfired, or the magic tools are broken, then there is no place to cry. Let's go, this shop has good business. Lin Yi walked to the most prosperous area and chose a shop called Wang's Refining Shop. Chapter 32 How about we fight each other? Wang's refining shop is divided into two floors. The first floor sells ordinary magic tools and medium-quality magic tools, mainly for casual cultivators in the early and middle stages of key training. The second floor sells high-quality magic tools and top-quality magic tools. In terms of decoration, it is even more thoughtful. The wooden door on the first floor is carved with tigers sniffing roses, and the second floor is decorated with dragons and phoenixes, which has a profound meaning. The Wang family is a family of refining tools. There are 3 third-level refiners in the family. The shop's refining business is also surprisingly good. Lin Yi came with a large group of Lin family cultivators, and the light words immediately attracted the attention of the Wang family cultivators. A wooden window on the second floor was opened, and an old man in a yellow brocade robe appeared in front of everyone. The tea in front of the old man had lost its residual heat, as if he had been waiting for a long time. It was Wang Yunqi, a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building of the Wang family. He looked down from a high place, overlooking the Lin family, and finally stared at Lin Yi. My dear nephew Yi, you have designed to cheat our Wang family of several shops and hundreds of spiritual trees. Now you come here, do you want to bully me? One word of nephew, one word of bullying. Instantly, there was an uproar in the group of independent cultivators and other shop families. Many people have heard the rumor that Lin Yi was seriously injured and died, and now he just appeared and dared to find the Wang family. Old man Yunqi is really a vicious dog that bites people first. Lin Yi was not annoyed, and then he began to talk about the matter of Peach Blossom Valley in a light voice. Someone will tell right from wrong. Lin Yi, I won't bother with you. I have already given in. Do you have to fight with me? Wang Yunqi shouted coldly. Once the spiritual pressure of the late stage of foundation building was released, it formed a spiritual force that pressed on the hearts of the cultivators of the Lin family. Giving you a shop is to show respect for your Lin family as a foundation building family. If you don't respect it, you won't be able to take a shop today. Wang Yunqi's momentum and aura spread out, and a strong sense of oppression was formed immediately, and his words became more and more sharp. Especially those eyes, not only did they not look old, but they were full of energy and murderous intent. There was a momentum to start a war if there was a disagreement. Of course, Wang Qian also had this confidence. Xingzhou was located in a remote area, and its resources were scarce compared to other states. There was only one purple mansion family, and it was his Wang family's in-laws, the Li family. In this Qingyuanfang city, the late stage of foundation building is already the peak existence. Are you going to disobey the Qingxuan sect? Lin Yi waved his fingers lightly, and a Qingxuan spiritual contract flew into the air. A small spell, releasing the true essence, outlined the words on the spiritual contract and Wang Ki's signature, for everyone in Qingxuanfang City to see. The spiritual contract in black and white described how the Wang family attacked the Lin family, and even how they begged for mercy after being defeated. All the cultivators were shocked when they saw this. Although there were few good birds in the aristocratic family for the casual cultivators, they invaded other people's territory and wanted to kill people to steal treasures. This violated the bottom line of all casual cultivators. Suddenly, the Wang family became the target of thousands of people's criticism. Many cultivators even proposed to return the magic tools they had just purchased. They also secretly made up their minds not to buy from the Wang family, otherwise they would lose money and be cheated by the Wang family. Lin Yi answered, "Come, let me see if you have made any progress in the past 30 years. Wang Qian was furious, his face gloomy and purple. He didn't expect that the Lin family would dare to do this under his spiritual power. Today, he must use Lin Yi as a scapegoat to let all the casual cultivators and families in Xingzhou know what the majesty of a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building is. Wang Qian, how about we fight each other?" Suddenly a voice came from the Lin family. A purple-robed monk came out. It was Xian, who was repeatedly told by Lin Yi to hide his cultivation and spiritual energy. As a sect monk and a disciple of Zifu, he has unlimited potential. Naturally, he has dabbled in various spiritual techniques. It is easy for him to hide his cultivation without being discovered by Wang Qian. Another late foundation building. At this moment, whether it is the other monks of the Lin family or the scattered cultivators, they are all very surprised. "Who are you?" Wang Qian suppressed his anger, feeling a little strange in his heart, but the magic sword in his hand was still activated. He didn't care how many enemies there were in front of him, he only knew that their Wang family must establish their prestige. Xian, the disciple of Qingxuan sect, is here to accept 7 shops under the order of Master Zixuan Sanren. Xian raised his eyebrows and spoke indifferently. But he scared Wang Qian half to death. The teacup was accidentally knocked out, and the stability was greatly lost. He hurried down from the second floor of the Wang family's weapon refining shop, his eyes full of uneasiness. He prayed countless times in his heart, and even encouraged himself. This is not the direct disciple of the Qingxuan sect. But who dares to pretend to be a direct disciple? What's more, he is a late-stage foundation-building cultivator. As for the Wang family's shops, Zhi will report to my master one by one later. In addition, Zhi also wants to ask about the power of fellow Wang Dao, to see if it is as sharp as before. Xian's words made Wang Qian's face worse and worse, and he lost his late-stage foundation-building style. Not to mention that he dared not fight with the disciples of the sect. The late-stage foundation-building cultivators of the sect were more powerful than them. After all, the skills and magic tools were incomparable. Not to mention that there was a Purple Mansion Wanderer behind him. Wang Qian also knew about the Purple Mansion Wanderer, who was an old-fashioned Purple Mansion Wanderer. But he was puzzled that Lin Yi's refusal to leave the family and become a direct disciple meant that the Purple Mansion Wanderer broke with the Lin family. Wang Qian is indeed an old man in the martial arts world. He knows that the situation is stronger than people. Besides, it is useless to say anything else, so he waved his hands. The 10 shops must have been a mistake. Since it is Zixuan Sanren who wants them, my Wang family will give out 2 more shops. Wang Qian smiled, but his heart was bleeding. The Wang family owns 30% of the Qingyan market, but most of the shops are rented out. If they want to give out 12 shops, they have to spend a lot of money to get them back from the tenants. This round trip will at least lose tens of thousands of spiritual stones, and this is the family foundation. After this move, the family's heritage will be dissipated. If there is no new way to make money, it may be difficult for the Wang family to support 3 foundation builders, not to mention cultivating a new young generation. Wang Qian apologized like this, and Xian and Lin Yi also stopped when they saw the good. If they were pushed to the edge, the other party might really do anything. It would be no good to fight to the death. As for the Lin family, the haze before was swept away, and they felt very proud. The next thing was easy. The Wang family gathered the 12 shops within one day and took the initiative to ask for the Wang's weapon refining shop to be given to the Lin family. The Lin family also gave 7 shops to Zixuan Sanren as agreed, but the Lin family managed them on his behalf, and the remaining 2 better shops were given to Xian. The Lin family still gained 3 shops as before. Each shop can bring in thousands of spirit stones every year, and in an instant, the Lin family's finances were revitalized. In addition, the Lin family's spiritual wine was also arranged. At that time, a special restaurant was open to sell the 2nd grade lower grade King Tao spiritual wine and the 2nd grade middle grade monkey wine. Monkey wine is brewed by the family winemaker after a month of repeated debugging. Although the taste is not as good as natural monkey wine, it is not much different. The main thing is that all the effects of monkey wine are there. At that time, it will surely become famous in the market and make a lot of money. Thanks to the reader with the last number 3231 for the monthly ticket. Please read and recommend. Chapter 33 Family Inventory. Fengmu Mountain. The morning sun rose early in the sky, indicating that late spring is about to end and early summer is about to come. The slightly hot sunlight burned away a lot of the clouds surrounding the mountain, making the whole Fengmu Mountain look more beautiful. The spiritual peaches on the mountainside are also emitting a strong spiritual light at this moment, crystal clear and full of spiritual energy. At this time, the mountain is decorated with lights and people come and go, which is far more lively than usual. It is the annual year-end summary day of the Lin family. On this day, all the cultivators of the Lin family will rush back to the family no matter how far away or how busy they are, unless they are really unable to get away. Because this moment is not only the glory of the family, but also their glory, and it is also the recognition and affirmation of their 3 years by the family in the past 3 years. Lin Shiming was also in the meeting hall, and the time had not yet arrived. Lin Shiming also saw many figures he hadn't seen for a long time, including his 13th uncle Lin Yi, who took a sip from the wine pot from time to time, his second uncle Lin Xiao, who was serious and always acted like an elder, his third sister Lin Shiki, who kept shouting that she had a secret, and his eldest brother Lin Shiji, who always took on the responsibility of being the first person in the Shi generation, as well as Lin Shi and Lin Shimo. Lin Shiming went up to them one by one to greet them and reminisce about the past. At this moment, a weak voice sounded. "Seventh brother, long time, no see." Lin Shiming listened to this weak voice, and his memory inexplicably returned to that rainy night, with peach blossoms blooming. The girl knocked on the door timidly, calling out, "Master Immortal, have tea." A scene from the past, as if it were yesterday. Lin Shiming turned his head and saw that the thin and bloodless little girl at that time was no longer weak, but had become a little girl in a green dress. Her complexion was much better, and her facial features became very delicate, a real beauty, a world of difference compared to before. She is a little taller. Her cultivation level is also higher. After not seeing her for 2 months, she has already reached the 4th level of innate cultivation. The talent of the second spiritual root is really terrifying. You should know that it took Lin Shiming half a year to reach the 4th level of innate cultivation. However, compared with before, she is still very shy and can only call 7th brother timidly. "Shitao, not bad, you are practicing very hard." Lin Shiming couldn't help but praise her. He still felt that he had some sense of accomplishment for this little girl who he brought up. Of course, there was no other meaning. Lin Shiki, who was next to him, came over all of a sudden. "Seventh brother, you bullied Shitao so much that her face turned red." Lin Shiki's meaningful words came. Lin Shitao's face turned even redder. She casually said that she wanted to visit other elders and hurriedly walked to the group of people in Shizhong and Xian. Lin Shiming couldn't help but frown inside. He admitted that he was afraid of this third sister. "Third sister, the year-end meeting will start soon." Lin Shiming found an excuse to fool around. At this moment, Lin Haoyun walked to the front of the stage, and Lin Xianzi, the old patriarch of the Lin family who was sitting in the main seat, began to announce the beginning of the year-end summary. "Haoyun, let's start the summary meeting. You should report on the situation of the family members first." Lin Haoyun straightened his clothes and spoke in a loud voice, reporting to 7th uncle. "In the new year, the cultivation levels of the Lin family cultivators are as follows. There is 1 foundation building cultivator, 7 key training 9th level cultivators, and the newly added key training 9th level elder is the eldest of the Hao generation, Lin Haoyong, who broke through after the Battle of Peach Blossom Valley. There are 20 people in the late key training stage, and 3 newly promoted to the late key training stage, namely Lin Haofu of the Hao generation, and Lin Shi and Lin Shimo of the Shi generation. There are 42 people in the middle key training stage, and 9 newly promoted middle stage cultivators. In addition, there are 30 people in the early key training stage and 12 innate cultivators. At present, the family members who are expected to break through to the foundation building stage are Lin Haoyun and Lin Haoyong of the Hao generation, and they are the key focus. Of the Shi generation, Lin Shiji and Lin Shitao have 2 spiritual roots, and Lin Shiming has 3 spiritual roots, but they have become registered disciples of King Xuan sect and have made great contributions to the family. They are included as key support targets. After Lin Haoyun announced the completion of the members, the great elder began to announce the family's assets. Uncle 7, in the new year, the finances are as follows. The Lin family treasury has a total of 26,542 spirit stones. In addition, The Lin family's annual income is as follows. The Kinglian pond has expanded due to the increase in spiritual veins. The spiritual water can produce 2,000 spirit stones every year, 500 more than in previous years. There are 140 spiritual peach trees and other spiritual fruit trees, an average of 4,000 spirit stones per year, 3,000 more than in the past. The income of Xing County Market is 1,000 spirit stones, no increase. The income of the caravan is 2,000 spirit stones, no increase. The monster hunting team's annual income is estimated to be 2,000 spirit stones, and the share of the monster hunting team members has been deducted. In addition, 3 new Kingston markets have been added, with an estimated income of 4,000 spirit stones. The cumulative annual income is 15,000 lingxi, which is 7,500 more than in the past. It is a cause for celebration. In addition, the expenditure is as follows. The salary of the initial stage of key refining is 10 lingxi per year, the middle stage of key refining is 20 lingxi per year, the late stage of key refining is 50 lingxi per year, the 9th level of key refining elders are 100 lingxi per year, and the basic salary of the foundation building cultivators is 500 lingxi per year. The total estimated spiritual stones required are 3,300 lingxi. In addition, the family estimates that the additional salary for each position is 2,000 lingxi, and the daily formation and spiritual plants consume 1,000 lingxi. A total of 6,300 lingxi are consumed, and the accumulated surplus is 8,700 lingxi. Lin Yi finished speaking, his face full of joy. This year's income is 7,500 more lingxi than in previous years. The Lin family no longer needs to send a large number of demon hunting team members to Kingayan Mountains for a little lingxi. Moreover, the Lin family is more confident about the trip to build the foundation 3 years later. As long as there are more and more foundation building monks, the family can occupy more territory and cultivate more outstanding talents. After Lin Yi finished speaking, it was Lin Yi who introduced the family's alchemists. At present, there is only one second-level upper-grade alchemist, Lin Yi, and there are 2 second-level middle-grade alchemists, both of whom are Hao generation monks. There are also 3 second-level lower-grade alchemists. Compared with the past, there is no increase. The art of alchemy requires a lot of time and cannot be improved in a short time. The Lin family's refining of weapons, talismans, array formations, and spiritual plants are also roughly the same, with basically no changes, except for Lin Shiki, who is from the Shi generation of the Lin family. He broke through from a second-level lower-grade spiritual plant master to a second-level middle-grade spiritual plant master. Everyone was surprised. As the treasure pavilion guard, Lin Haoxiao was about to break through to a second-level upper-grade array master, but he was still a little short. After everyone reported, everyone in the Lin family was very happy. Compared with the past, there were too many changes this year. The old patriarch recovered. The family had foundation-building monks. The family finances improved, and there were more geniuses. At this time, seeing that everyone had finished their reports, Lin Xianzi continued to speak. Yu Qing, let me add a few words. First, from now on, the blue lotus produced in the blue lotus pond will also be included in the family's income. I will no longer use it for healing, and there will be an extra 1,000 spiritual stones here every year. As soon as this was said, everyone in the Lin family began to be shocked. The Lin family's economic situation has been very good in recent years, and the blue lotus spiritual plants in the Lin family's spiritual pond are also being supplied to the old patriarch. Of course, in the eyes of everyone in the Lin family, the old patriarch, as the strongest fighting force, should also enjoy the spiritual plants to improve his cultivation and heal his injuries. Lin Yi and others began to persuade that only if Lin Xianzi is stronger, the Lin family will have more say. However, Lin Xianzi stared at them and rejected them. Second, once the family's monkey wine is brewed, it can at least double the income from the peaches, and increase the income by an additional 2,000 spirit stones. Of course, the income from this has been promised to Shiming before, so the Lin family will give Lin Shiming 500 spirit stones every year, and the rest will be used to buy foundation building pills for him after Shiming reaches the 9th level of key training. If the previous words were slightly shocking, the current words were like thunder, hitting everyone's heart. The family buys foundation building pills for Lin Shiming. You have to know that the competition for a foundation building pill is at least 80,000 spirit stones, and often the auction competition is hundreds of thousands of spirit stones, which is a considerable amount for the Lin family. Silence. Lin Yi said again. The noisy voices on the scene were shaken down by this voice and completely quieted down. Finally, I announced that from today onwards, everyone's basic salary will be doubled. In addition, for the people to be supported, the Shi generation will receive 300 spiritual stones per year, and the Haoyan and Haoyong generations will receive an additional 500 spiritual stones per year. As soon as these words came out, all the Lin family members began to cheer. Sufficient spiritual stone support means that they will go further. It means that their descendants will go further. Thanks to Hualangma for the monthly ticket. Please read it again. Please read it again. Come and try it out. Chapter 34 Family Arrangements. The joy of the spirit stones filled everyone's heart. Every cultivator was glad that they were born in the Lin family and that they were working hard for the Lin family. Every growth of the Lin family was due to their own efforts. At this moment, the cohesion of the Lin family was unprecedentedly concentrated. Although the immortal road was still vague, it was at least clearer than before, and they were really lucky to get a few spirit stones after fighting hard with the casual cultivators. They had the protection of the family, the spirit stones to practice, the experience of the predecessors, and various exercises. They had everything, including money, friends, and land. After the inventory of the family and the issuance of the new policy, Lin Haoyan once again began to make new adjustments to the family as the head of the family. Since Shiming's initiative to apply for a position has unexpectedly brought huge benefits to the family will lift a ban on leaving the mountain before the age of 20. In the future, when family members are 15 years old and in the middle stage of key training, they can take the initiative to apply to leave the mountain and obtain a position. In addition, there will be extra rewards for becoming a family-certified alchemist, weapon refiner, spiritual plant master, array master, and spiritual seeker. The reward for discovering spiritual roots will be increased by 30%. The spiritual stone reward for giving birth to a spiritual root will be increased by 50%. The new policies were issued one by one, making the eyes of the Lin family cultivators shine with excitement. Just like the rising sun, blazing and dazzling. Summer is coming, and the sun will be even more blazing and brighter at that time. The year-end summary ended, and the elders and Lin Shiming and Lin Shiji were left behind. Lin Shiji felt confused, but Lin Shiming was somewhat clear. The family has made so many moves, it is definitely impossible without a purpose. Everyone's eyes are also on Lin Yi. Feeling the gazes of the crowd, Lin Yi did not say any more nonsense and spoke directly. The family currently has two hostile families that must be careful of, the Huangshan Foundation Building Wang family, and the Qingyuan Mountain Purple Mansion Li family. This sentence immediately silenced the elders who were beginning to feel happy. The Foundation Building Wang family is a mountain that the Lin family needs to overcome for many years. As for the Purple Mansion family Li family, it is even more unimaginable. Once the Purple Mansion appears, no one in the Lin family can resist it. Even if Feng Mushan has a third-level upper-grade formation, it can't stop a Purple Mansion cultivator. In front of the gap in cultivation, no matter how much manpower and material resources are used, it is difficult to cross. But for the development of the family, these two are completely inevitable. The Foundation Building Wang family is already an enemy that cannot be relieved on the surface, and the Purple Mansion Li family is the culprit for the decline of the Lin family in the past, and it is also the only Purple Mansion family in Xingzhou. If the Lin family had not had some connections in the Qingxuan sect, and Lin Yi had not become a disciple of the Purple Zhuan Sanrun, the Lin family might have been wiped out. Shiming, you say something. Lin Yi's eyes swept through the Yu generation, then the Hao generation, and finally stayed on Lin Shiming. Seventh uncle, Shiming thinks that it is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot to fight against the Li family at present. Moreover, on the surface, with Qingxuan sect and Zixuan Sanren dealing with them, the Li family will not do too much in the short term. But the Wang family, as the running dog of the Li family, has suffered such a great loss, they will definitely take action. And we can't just sit and wait for death, we should take the initiative to attack. The first action, Shiming thinks, is that in 3 years, we will not only get the foundation building pills and the new foundation building cultivators, but also ensure that the Wang family cannot get new foundation building pills. Lin Shiming spoke slowly. Their financial resources are definitely not enough after this battle. In addition, ambush the young talents of the Wang family who have been hunting monsters recently. Lin Shiming's two requests made the elders' eyes light up. As a young man of the Shi generation, Lin Shiming is not yet 20 years old, and his perspective on things even exceeds that of many Hao generation cultivators. Indeed, the Wang family is now facing the same situation as before. The foundation building conference will be held in 3 years. The Wang family has lost so many shops this time, and the spiritual stones have shrunk by at least tens of thousands of spiritual stones at one time. Unless they reduce the salaries of family members, they must find a new way to make money. Going to Qingyuan Mountain to risk killing monsters is the most reliable. Shiming is right. Lin Yi nodded, and he also agreed with Lin Shiming's statement. After commenting, he began to issue a series of instructions. Hao Yuan, you have to protect the secret recipe of monkey wine recently. This is the most important point for us to have enough financial resources in 3 years. All those who participate in brewing must be core members of the family. Yes, 7th uncle. Yu Qing, you lead the demon hunting team and are responsible for finding out about the Wang family's cultivators' demon hunting team. Remember to be secretive and careful, and win over some independent cultivators when necessary. The Wang family attacked our Peach Blossom Valley, so we have to fight back. It is impolite not to return the favor. Yes, 7th uncle. Lin Yuqing spoke in a sonorous voice. He may not be good at overall planning, but as a physical cultivator, he has never been afraid of anyone in the key refining period. He is best at investigating the demon hunting team and targeting the Wang family cultivators. Yuki, Yutai, all of you will be transferred from Xing County Market to be responsible for Kingsuan Market. The newly promoted Elder Hao Yuan will take over Xing County Market instead of you. You can use my senior brother Zi and to occupy the Wang family's elixir and magic weapon market. Their reputation has been ruined in the last battle. Yes, 7th uncle. Lin Yuki and Lin Yudi replied together. Yu Zheng, for the arrangement of the caravan, you find a later generation cultivator who is at the 8th level of key training to be in charge, and you are responsible for the sales of the spirit wine. In addition, 20% of the net profit of the monkey wine will be given to senior brother Zi. Yes, Uncle Qi. After the arrangements were made one by one, everyone went there happily, holding their breath. In the past, there was no foundation building to support them, but now there are not only foundation building cultivators, but also Lin Xian's senior brother. Immortal cultivators are against the will of heaven, so why fear a battle? At this moment, all the elders were full of fighting spirit. Lin Shiming couldn't help but think of the chess game in Qinglian Pond. The Lin family is the white piece that is constantly being eaten away, while the Wang family and the Li family are the black pieces that are surrounded. The white piece keeps retreating to advance, and the black piece will not care, but when the white piece has the intention to fight back, it must face the crazy suppression of the black piece. Teohu Valley is a counterattack, and the Lin family has no way out. After leaving the meeting hall, Lin Shiming was undoubtedly heavy-hearted. The burden on his shoulders was also heavy. 3 years. 3 years to break through the 7th level of key training required a lot of luck. Lin Shiming thought a little confusedly, and then walked towards the Dan Pavilion of the second elder Lin Yuki. He planned to practice hard for a period of time, and before practicing hard, he would refine the beast-raising pill. It was also urgent to improve the strength of the 2 spirit beasts. Thank you for your collection, recommendation votes, and please read it again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Beast Nurturing Pill. The Lin family's Dan Pavilion was built in a cave on the back of Fangmu Mountain. In the early years, the Purple Mansion's Hangsing Patriarch confined some earth fire in Fangmu Mountain to form the Dan Pavilion and the Key Pavilion. At its peak, there were 3rd-level alchemists and Kigan masters who made alchemy and Kigan here. The cultivators in the Key refining period, without a foundation-building spiritual platform, could not release the true fire, and ordinary flames could not support enough temperature. They could only use formations to confine the earth fire to make alchemy and Kigan. Lin Shiming walked from the cave into the underground hall. The decorations in the hall were engraved with a large number of fireproof formations and protective formations. Shiming, you are here. The second elder Lin Yuki had received Lin Shiming's voice transmission talisman a long time ago, so he did not make alchemy, but taught several alchemy apprentices in the hall. But his face was not very good, and it was obvious that the understanding of several Shi generation apprentices was not very good. Shiming has met the second grandfather. Lin Shiming also hurriedly greeted him. Lin Shiming still respected this second grandfather very much. You know, it was he who brought a few alchemists to support the elixirs needed by the family, and also supported the sale of elixirs in Xingxin Market and the Caravan, and now also in Qinghai Market. You continue to get familiar with this spiritual medicine. I will test you again at noon tomorrow. Lin Yi waved his hand and sent the apprentices away. The latter also nodded and left as if relieved. What kind of spiritual medicine are you going to refine? Seeing the few people leave, Lin Yi also began to be interested. Lin Shiming's voice transmission was about a new elixir recipe. Lin Shiming did not hesitate. He took out the elixir recipe engraved with a beast-raising elixir from the storage bag and handed it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi took the jade slip and sank his consciousness into the jade slip. After a moment, Lin Yi suddenly looked serious. With a hand gesture, a spiritual light suddenly flashed around, and a soundproof and forbidden spirit formation was stretched out. How did you get it? Does Uncle Qi know? Lin Yi stared at Lin Shiming. His eyes seemed to be a little angry. Lin Shiming was a little puzzled, but he still explained the events of the day one by one, and Lin Yi's nervous heart calmed down. Shiming, second grandpa is old and can't stand being frightened. Remember to be careful when you are out in the future. For a cultivator, it is not too much to be cautious 10,000 times. Lin Yi said with some emotion. In an instant, Lin Shiming suddenly felt that the old man in front of him seemed to be old and began to admit defeat. Although he was a cultivator, high-intensity alchemy was far more tiring than cultivation. He suddenly thought of the legend again. This second grandpa had the opportunity to build a foundation at that time. Why did he choose to make an alchemy? Lin Shiming didn't understand. There is no problem with this alchemy. Except for the main material Sanyuanhua, which is hard to find, other spiritual medicines are relatively common. Lin Yi started to introduce the recipe. The recipe of this beast-raising pill is only a second-level middle-grade spiritual pill. For Lin Yi, a second-level upper-grade alchemist, there is no problem at all. Please tell me where I can buy cinnamon flour. Lin Shiming asked. No need to buy it, the family caravan will buy it, but the spiritual stones will be deducted from your salary. If it is not enough, we will deduct it for 2 or 3 years. Anyway, your salary is more than us old men. Okay, thank you very much, second grandfather. Lin Shiming was very happy and waved his hand to thank him. Come and get the pills in 3 days. After Lin Yi said this, he began to prepare to practice the pills, and Lin Shiming said goodbye and left directly. As for alchemy, Lin Shiming also thought about learning it by himself, but thinking that he might not even reach the 7th level of key training in 3 years, he gave up the idea of alchemy and spiritual plants and practiced with all his heart. 3 days later, Lin Shiming took 10 bottles of pills from Lin Yi on time. There were a total of 120 beast-raising pills. Since the pill formula was given to the second elder, the material cost of 2,000 spirit stones was offset. Lin Shiming only spent 300 spirit stones. As for the cost of refining the pill, Lin Yi was generous and did not ask Lin Shiming for it. You know, once this kind of beast-raising pill is released in the market, one pill will cost at least 80 spirit stones, and there is still a price. If the Lin family can sell this kind of beast-raising pill, it will definitely bring extra income to the family. Of course, that's just a thought. As long as the Lin family sells this kind of beast-raising pill, the Qingxuan sect will not be able to protect the Lin family. The spiritual beast sect has far more Jinden's Henren than the Qingxuan sect, and there are many Jinden monsters. That would be a real way to seek death. Lin Shiming left the alchemy pavilion and returned to his room, releasing the red-haired demon monkey and the golden-winged mantis. As soon as the two beasts came out, they sat upright in tacit understanding, gesturing with their 2 claws, and their eyes revealed confusion. It seemed that they were wondering why the meal time today was earlier than usual. At this moment, the red-haired demon monkey also completely regarded Lin Shiming as his master. With a spiritual contract, Lin Shiming found that the intelligence of this red-haired demon monkey was much smarter than that of the golden-winged mantis. Lin Shiming took out the pill bottle of the beast-raising pill, 1 pill for each beast, and placed it in front of the mouths of the 2 beasts. Surprisingly, the 2 beasts took the beast-raising pills as if they saw delicious food. Then they squeaked and asked for spiritual water and spiritual food. It seemed that there was nothing unusual about swallowing the beast-raising pills, but what happened next was beyond Lin Shiming's expectations. The appetite of the two beasts was 3 or 4 times larger, and the amount of spiritual water absorbed was also more intense. After eating and drinking, the two beasts climbed onto Lin Shiming's shoulders, one on the left and one on the right, with a spiritual glow all over their bodies and fever. It seemed that they were ready to have a deep and hearty sleep on Lin Shiming's shoulders. But at this moment, the demon monkey and the golden-winged mantis were not small, so Lin Shiming couldn't let them sleep on his shoulders. He picked up one in each hand and put them into the spirit beast's bag. Lin Shiming also roughly understood the role of the beast-nurturing pills, and increased the spirit beast's absorption of spiritual energy to accelerate the growth of the spirit beast. Lin Shiming, who had a full 120 beast-nurturing pills, couldn't help but think about what the two beasts would grow into. Lin Shiming shook his head and stopped thinking about other things. Instead, he went to the family treasure house to exchange enough spiritual pills and returned to King Tao Mountain to practice. It was not far from the Dan Pavilion to the treasure house. In less than a quarter of an hour, Lin Shiming saw the treasure house from a distance. Because of the year-end meeting just now, more spiritual stones were issued, and even more family members exchanged treasures here. Seventh brother. A rough voice came, and Lin Shiming looked closely and found that it was his second brother Lin Yi. Seventh brother, my eldest brother is too strong, and you and I are almost the same. You are also a registered disciple of Zifu Sanran. How about we have a competition? Lin Shiming wanted to refuse, but because of Lin Yi's eager eyes, he nodded and agreed. Lin Shiming still had a good impression of this honest second brother who practiced physical cultivation. This Sunday, I will try it out. Please help me, readers. Continue to read, collect, and recommend. I love you. Chapter 36, 2 Years of King Tao. In front of the magnificent treasure house, the second uncle Lin Haoxiao was still guarding there, but there was another disciple of the Shi generation next to him. When Lin Shiming exchanged for the elixir, it was mainly the Shi generation cultivator who acted according to the rules. The second uncle was thinking hard, with a jade slip in his hand, and seemed to be studying the formation. He was very confused and looked very depressed. Lin Shiming sold the second-level high-grade spiritual sword and 2 medium-grade spiritual swords he had obtained from the Wang family cultivators to the family treasure house at a discount in exchange for elixirs. His spiritual sense was not enough to support him to activate 2 high-grade spiritual swords when he was activating multiple snake vine flowers. Now he was penniless, so he simply exchanged. In the exchange room, Lin Haoxiao, who was next to him, learned that Lin Shiming and Lin Yi wanted to spar, and immediately asked to supervise the battle to prevent the two from being in danger at the critical moment. The sparring between cultivators is still quite dangerous, especially when the difference between them is not much. Lin Shiming and the other two were naturally willing. It was great to have an elder by their side, and they could point out their shortcomings at critical moments. The place where the two chose to compete was a wasteland not far from the treasure house. Second brother, please. Lin Shiming stretched out his hand and made a gesture of invitation. Seventh brother, second brother is a rough man, so I won't play this trick with you, but second brother lets you go first. Lin Yi said honestly, and then took out an iron stick. Although this iron stick looks black on the surface, it is actually a second-level top-grade magic weapon made from the big iron stick of the red-haired demon monkey in the battle in Taohu Valley. The power is quite good. Lin Shiming took a deep breath and did not continue to be humble. He directly pinched the formula and flew out countless wood vine seeds. At the same time, the other hand, the Molian sword also flew out, shining with spiritual light, and cut Lin Yi directly. Come on. Lin Yi laughed loudly, and the spiritual light of the black stick in his hand danced, and then rushed towards Lin Shiming. As a physical cultivator, his physical strength is his flesh, and he is not proficient in Taoism. Lin Yi was extremely fast, and with one stick, he smashed Lin Shiming's Molian sword with a loud bang, and smashed it away. At this time, Lin Shiming also pinched his fingers again, and countless wood vines began to grow wildly in the ground. In an instant, Lin Yi was covered in all directions, but Lin Yi swept his stick fiercely, and countless flames spread out from the black gold stick, sweeping away the wood vines, and a large vacuum zone appeared. At this time, Lin Shiming pinched his fingers again, and a huge snake vine flower seed began to germinate. This is what I've been waiting for. Lin Yi shouted, and as if he had expected it, the black stick in his hand suddenly became 3 times larger. A huge stick filled with flames directly hit the snake vine flower that had not yet fully grown. With a bang, the seed was smashed to pieces, and the spiritual energy burst, and the seed could no longer germinate. He had seen Lin Shiming's move before, so he naturally thought about it for a long time and thought of a countermeasure. When the snake vine flower first sprouted, it was not strong, so it was enough to smash the seeds directly. Lin Shiming was also shocked. This was the first time he knew about this weakness of the snake vine flower. However, he was just shocked, not too surprised. Instead, he drank the monkey wine in a flash. When his spiritual power rolled again, another snake vine flower seed sprouted. And just behind Lin Yi, it grew wildly and became a giant vine that supported the sky. It rolled Lin Yi up and flew into the air. A huge snake vine flower seed was also aimed at Lin Yi. Seventh brother, I give up. When Lin Yi was rolled up by the vine, his fate was doomed. As a physical cultivator, he had no leverage point and was trapped, so he had lost the possibility of taking the initiative. Lin Shiming also had a Zuan Shu Chongshan. Second brother, I'm grateful. Lin Shiming smiled and clasped his fists. As for drinking to stimulate 2 snake vine flower seeds, he still had the strength to break through the 6th level of key training. If you lose, you lose. Second brother, you lose. Lin Yi said carelessly, but then he frowned again. Staring at Lin Shiming, he said, Seventh brother, the second brother lost today, but since you have the strength, the second brother is more assured, but you have to be careful of the fourth brother. He also told me the weakness of snake vine flower. He is not convinced that you have become the object of family support with 3 spiritual roots. He thinks that the most worthy of cultivating 3 spiritual roots should be him. Lin Yi told everything in a plate. He came this time, firstly because he was belligerent, and secondly, he wanted to remind Lin Shiming. The 4th brother of the Shi generation is Lin Shimo, the one who deals with corpses all day and practices corpse training. Lin Shiming was also shocked. He didn't expect that such a thing would happen after being supported by the family, so he kept a watchful eye in his heart. It's okay, the Shi generation does need more communication. Of course, Lin Shiming still said it carelessly. The family is facing a great enemy, and it is reasonable to be united against the outside world. Lin Haoxiao next to him also began to evaluate the fight between the two. Shi, after targeting Shiming's snake vine flower seeds, you should quickly approach Lin Shiming instead of staying where you are. As a physical cultivator, you don't need to pause, and you can't pause. Yes, thank you, second uncle. Lin Yi also thanked Lin Haoxiao. Both of them gained something from this battle, especially the latter. In fact, Lin Shiming's weakness to the snake vine flower was not obvious to him, but now it seems that all the wood vines or seeds stimulated by the wood vine technique will have this weakness. Lin Haoxiao began to instruct Lin Shiming again, and told him about Lin Shiming's fighting characteristics, strengths, and how to improve. Lin Shiming also accepted it humbly and communicated until sunset. The 2 brothers Lin Shiming and Lin Yi left the treasure house. He also set foot on the road to King Tao Mountain again. The peach blossoms on King Tao Mountain bloomed and faded and bloomed. 2 springs and autumns passed in a blink of an eye. The sky was clear again, and the flowers were blooming. There are more peach blossoms in bloom today than ever before, densely packed, one cluster after another. On the spiritual peach tree, a 2-meter-tall red monkey was jumping around, howling as it jumped, shaking off many peach blossoms and dropping them to the ground, forming a carpet of pink petals. The red-haired demon monkey seemed to find the small tree boring and wanted to jump to another huge peach tree. A golden mantis suddenly flew out, slashing with 2 huge sickle front feet. The red-haired demon monkey immediately ran to a wooden house howling. The wooden house opened, and a young man in green walked out. On his shoulder, a golden eagle was combing its golden feathers with its beak. Red hair, if you dare to cause trouble on the spiritual peach tree again, you can wait for a big battle with the golden wings. The young man in green was Lin Shiming, who had been practicing hard for 2 years. In 2 years, he did not break through to the 7th level of key training, but fell into a bottleneck. On the contrary, the red-haired demon monkey and the golden-winged mantis have undergone tremendous changes, especially the golden-winged mantis, which has already reached the level of a second-order middle-grade demon beast in terms of cultivation strength, and has a tendency to break through the second order upper grade. The red-haired demon monkey also entered the second order middle grade demon beast not long ago, but its strength is much worse than that of the golden winged mantis. As for the golden eagle on its shoulder, it is even worse, a second order low grade demon beast, and can only be used as a means of transportation and flying. At this moment, a talisman shot in and Lin Shiming grabbed it in his hand. It was the new Lin family member who is replaced to guard King Tao Mountain. The 2-year period is up, it's time to go back. Chapter 37 The Wang family's plan. Like King Tao Mountain, the peach blossoms on Fangmu Mountain also bloomed. And they bloomed more beautifully. From a distance, the mountainside of Fangmu Mountain was like a sea of pink flowers, which was beautiful beyond words. After falling from the sword, Lin Shiming walked on the familiar road again. The spiritual energy of Fangmu Mountain was more abundant. As soon as he reached the foot of the mountain, he saw the spiritual energy coming all over, which made his whole body feel refreshed. Lin Shiming is still practicing King Muju and has not switched to Zimu Heart Sutra. The best time to switch to practicing is after building the foundation, or when there are a lot of spiritual objects, which can restore the cultivation in a short time. Moreover, there is a hurdle from the middle stage of key training to the late stage of key training. It is more beneficial to disperse the power and rebuild after breaking through. Shiming, you are back. As soon as Lin Shiming fell, a voice fell behind him. It turned out to be the 13th uncle holding the wine pot. 13th uncle, where are you going in such a hurry? Lin Shiming also turned around and greeted Lin Haowei. Let's go find the head of the family. The Wang family has gone crazy. There are more people in the Qinghai Mountains. Lin Haowei said angrily, and took a big sip of wine. In the past 2 years, the Lin family's income has increased. The Lin family's demon hunting team has been secretly looking for trouble with the Wang family most of the time. Seeing that the Wang family has discovered it and is preparing to launch a counter-encirclement and suppression against the Lin family, how can Lin Haowei not be anxious? Lin Haowei went to report, and Lin Shiming followed him. In the 2 years in Taohu Valley, he bought 3 beast-raising pills from the family and some spiritual pills for cultivation. The spiritual water on his body had been used up long ago, and a lot of spiritual stone salary had been prepaid. If he didn't get some spiritual stones, the speed of cultivation would be greatly affected. Raising spiritual beasts is very beneficial and very helpful in combat, but the disadvantages of consuming resources are now also apparent. Before landing, Lin Haowei obviously conveyed the message through the sound transmission node. When the two arrived at the meeting hall, Lin Shiming's father Lin Haowei had already arrived. 7th brother. Father. Lin Haowei and Lin Shiming spoke at the same time. The latter also nodded slightly in response. He knew that Lin Shiming's duty was over, and he also knew that Lin Shiming should come back at this time. 7th brother, I came back this time on the order of my uncle to ask for help. Before seeing Lin Haowei had already put away the wine pot and used his spiritual energy to disperse the alcohol from his body. Yes, I understand. I have arranged it. There are a total of 8 late-stage key training and 12 mid-stage key training. Lin Haowei nodded, and then added. Haowei, tell your uncle that the Wang family has been very low-key in Qinghai market recently. I'm afraid they are making a big move in Qinghai Mountains, and it's even possible that the target is not us. Lin Haowei expressed his guess. Over the years, the Wang family's style of doing things has become more and more incomprehensible. Especially after the loss of Qinghai market was so great, there was no extra action. This is very different from the Wang family's previous methods. Father, I'll go too. I've reached a bottleneck. Lin Shiming stepped forward and took the initiative to ask for help. Well, be careful. Lin Haowei paused for a while and finally nodded. After informing Lin Haowei and Lin Shiming went to the treasure house to collect the necessary elixirs and magic tools that needed to be replaced. Finally, after gathering more than a dozen Hao generation monks, led by the 6th elder Lin Haoyang, the group faced the sunset and flew towards the Qinghai Mountains. On the outskirts of the Qinghai Mountains, next to an unknown hill, Lin Haoyang, Lin Shiming and others fell from the sky, and Lin Haowei took the initiative to walk in front. The formation in front is arranged by my 2nd brother. Now my 2nd brother is a 2nd level top grade formation master. Thanks to him, otherwise we would be at a greater disadvantage facing the Wang family. Lin Haowei said as a magic talisman flew out of his hand. The magic talisman turned into a spiritual light and flew into the void in the blink of an eye. After a while, the illusory land slowly unfolded like a cut scroll. A cave was revealed, and more than a dozen green-shirted monks stood in front of the cave. "Haoyang, you are here." Lin Yi was the first to speak. He was covered in blood, as if he had just fought. Almost everyone else was injured. "Uncle, what are you doing?" Lin Haoyang asked. "We were ambushed by a few people from the Wang family." Lin Yi was furious. If it weren't for Lin Haoxiao's second-level superior formation, they would have died there. Even so, the demon hunting team lost several monks of the latter generation. There must be something wrong with the Wang family. Next to Lin Yi, Lin Haoxiao changed his previous appearance and looked very serious. "They are clearly trying to stop us from moving forward." As soon as these words came out, everyone thought about it and found that the Wang family had indeed formed a huge defense line. If the Wang family wanted to take revenge, they should have surrounded them long ago. Lin Shiming was also thinking hard. After several uncles talked, the Wang family had a total of 4 or 5 9th-level key training monks, and 30 or 40 late-stage key training monks. Their Lin family had no chance of winning against the Wang family. Now it's not that they have no countermeasures, but that they can't predict the purpose of the Wang family. At this time, the system prompt came. "Please keep going north. You will encounter a seriously injured and dying earth bearer in a third-grade inferior spiritual vein." The system's prompt sounded, and Lin Shiming's heart was instantly shocked. A third-grade inferior spiritual vein. He instantly understood. The Wang family's purpose was not their Lin family at all, but a third-grade inferior spiritual vein. This time, the Wang family did not come with a few 9th-level key training cultivators, but foundation-building cultivators. There may even be 2. The remaining one will definitely be in Qinghai Market to guard against Lin Xianzi. Of course, what surprised Lin Shiming the most was the third-grade inferior spiritual vein. You must know that the Lin family's third-grade middle-grade spiritual vein absorbed the second-grade superior spiritual vein, which was greatly improved. If the Wang family obtained a third-grade inferior spiritual vein, it would be entirely possible for the Wang family to use the spiritual vein to upgrade it to the third-grade superior. The cultivators of the Wang family are too lucky. You know, the spiritual energy of a third-order lower-grade spiritual vein, if put at an auction, will sell for at least hundreds of thousands of spiritual stones. Sometimes, when there is a hurry to upgrade the spiritual vein, it can even sell for millions of spiritual stones. The most important thing is that when the spiritual vein is upgraded, a spiritual energy tide will occur. The large amount of pure spiritual energy produced by the spiritual energy tide is of great benefit to the breakthrough of the realm. The promotion of a third-order middle grade to third-order upper grade can improve the cultivator's confidence in building the foundation. Lin Shiming dared not imagine the consequences of the Wang family's success. But he knew that he had to notify everyone in the Lin family, especially the old patriarch. Please read on, recommend, and test the waters. Chapter 38, Death Situation. The Qinghai Mountains are very large. Looking over, they are full of green, with endless forests and peaks. But no one knows how big it is. It is only known that the monsters in the Qinghai Mountains are endless. It is rumored that there are even giant and monster kings in the depths of the mountains, so no one dares to go to measure the Qinghai Mountains. Lin Shiming stared at the north. He knew that the Wang family was attacking the earth-violent bear there, preparing to occupy the third-level lower-grade spiritual vein. In his ears, the elders were still thinking about how to capture a cultivator from the Wang family and search their souls. But Lin Shiming knew that the Wang family would not give him a chance. Unless the old patriarch comes, with his strength at the peak of the middle stage of foundation building, he can do it. Suddenly, Lin Shiming suddenly remembered that he still had a golden eagle monster. Although the golden eagle is not yet an adult and is only a second-level lower-grade monster, it has no problem flying, and the current Wang family will not care about a bird flying high in the sky. The most important thing is that he just needs to pretend to show it to the elders of the Lin family. "Grandpa, I have a golden eagle monster. It is very spiritual and has excellent eyesight. It can definitely help us explore the Wang family's strengths and weaknesses." Lin Shiming had an idea in his mind and walked up to Lin Yi to suggest. Then he released the golden eagle from the spirit beast's bag. The red-haired demon monkey in the spirit beast's bag next to him suddenly felt excited and obviously wanted to come out for some fresh air. Lin Shiming warned him harshly with his spiritual sense. "Shiming, you also raised a golden eagle. I thought you only raised a mantis spirit pet." Lin Yi also looked at the golden eagle with some surprise. When a cultivator flies with a sword or passes by from the ground, he will be captured by the spiritual sense of the cultivator and then attacked. But if it is a golden eagle in the sky, the Wong family will really not notice it. And, you know, the sky above the Qinghai Mountains is the domain of demon birds, and there may be great demons in the Purple Mansion. The Wong family cultivators would not fly into the sky to kill a second-level inferior demon beast. It was my seventh uncle who took me to buy it. Lin Shiming responded with a smile while stroking the head of the golden eagle. Then he took out a jade bottle and gave the golden eagle a sip of spiritual water. After flapping its wings, the latter croaked and flew up. With a spiritual contract, Lin Shiming could simply command the golden eagle to fly high in the sky, and then fly north. The golden eagle flew higher and higher, and disappeared in the clouds in a blink of an eye. The golden eagle disappeared, but Lin Shiming was still not calm, but there was no way at the moment. After about a quarter of an hour, as everyone was anxiously waiting, a golden light broke through the clouds in the sky, revealing a golden eagle head, and rolled down. It reached Lin Shiming's shoulder, and as the golden eagle croaked on Lin Shiming's shoulder, Lin Shiming took out a bottle of spiritual water for the golden eagle to drink. Then he spoke anxiously, "Grandpa, we are in trouble. The foundation building cultivators of the Wong family are also here, and they are occupying a place with extremely rich spiritual energy. And, according to the spiritual fluctuations transmitted by the golden eagle, the concentration of spiritual energy is not less than that of Fangmu Mountain." Lin Shiming's last sentence completely shocked the first elder and the sixth elder. Although Lin Shiming's words were vague, they immediately thought of the spiritual veins and the Wong family's plan to find wild spiritual veins and upgrade them. This matter must have started a few years ago, otherwise why did they also find Teoho Valley that year, and bring 2 foundation-building cultivators as expected? When the Lin family thought of this, they felt extremely scared. The Wong family was so anxious, it was obvious that the spiritual veins were going to be upgraded. "Hao Yuang, you are the fastest. You quickly fly to Qinghai Market with all your strength, and you must tell Uncle Qi to come as soon as possible." Lin Yuqing did not dare to delay at all, and took out a second-level superior wind-traveling talisman from his storage bag. This wind-traveling talisman can increase the speed of the cultivator's escape and save his life at a critical moment. But at this moment, there was no way to stay any longer. If the Wang family took the spiritual vein first, it would be too late. Lin Haoyong did not hesitate. He pressed a fencing talisman on the spot, which turned into a spiritual light and blessed his body. He flew up again with his sword, and felt like riding the wind. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the sky. "Shiming, can you let your golden eagle investigate and find the specific location of the Wang family? We can't just sit there and wait for death." Lin Yuqing turned to look at Lin Shiming again. "When the time comes, when Uncle Qi comes, we will catch them all in one fell swoop." After Lin Yuqing finished speaking, a trace of fierceness flashed across his face. Lin Yuqing naturally wanted to get back the ambush and casualties 100-fold. "Grandpa, if the Wang family didn't use a formation or hide a spiritual talisman, it would be fine." Lin Shiming nodded. The golden eagle's reconnaissance ability was still good, but if the formation covered it, it would really be impossible to find it. The golden eagle flew up again with a quack, heading towards the jungle hills ahead. Horizontal ellipsis. In a dense jungle, a silver-horned deer was walking slowly, sniffing from time to time, with its eyes moving flexibly. Suddenly, a sound of breaking through the air was heard. Before the silver-horned deer could react, a glittering spiritual sword pierced through it. The deer head flew up with a sound, splashing a large amount of blood. Under the tree, there was a wave of spiritual energy, and then several middle-aged men in yellow robes walked out from under the tree and took the deer head. The leader was a slightly fat middle-aged man. If Lin Shiming and others were here, they would find that this man was the current head of the Wang family, Wang Lishan. Wang Lishan did not look at the corpse of the second-level middle-grade demon beast silver-horned deer, but looked into the void, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. "Ligan, you said that the eagle appeared back and forth twice just now, and the Lin family is also over there." After hearing this, the white-bearded Taoist monk next to him pinched his white beard and frowned. The old man in a white beard and Taoist robe is named Wang Ligan. He is the 9th of the Wang family. He is a few years younger than Wang Lishan, but he prefers to keep his body's original age. Third brother, the Lin family has never raised a golden eagle, but I think something is wrong. The Lin family is too abnormal to be calm. Third brother, 9th brother, why are you still hesitating? We still have a purple mansion talisman. Just kill the Lin family. The black-faced monk next to him was already unhappy. Seeing that the Wang family members were thinking about the golden eagle, he spoke directly. In his opinion, the Lin family was just relying on the name of the King Sun sect's purple Zhuan Sanrun, but in this uninhabited place, even if the Lin family monks were skinned alive, no one would know. The gap in strength is too big. Deal with them. It's really a bit abnormal. Wang Lishan stretched out his foot and stepped on the body of the silver-horned long deer. With a sudden force, the long deer's body exploded, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. 6 key training 9 levels, 1 talisman, they are doomed. Recommended books. Chapter 39, Crazy Drinking. Next to the hills outside the Qingyuan Mountains, the golden eagle slowly flew down from the sky and landed on Lin Shiming's shoulder. The eyes of the Lin family instantly fell on Lin Shiming. Lin Shiming took out the spiritual water and placed it next to the hooked beak of the golden eagle. After a wave of consciousness, Lin Shiming shook his head at the elder and others. Although the Lin family was prepared, they were still a little disappointed. Next to him, Lin Haoshao's brows suddenly tightened. He stared at the front, and then hurriedly looked back. Then he looked left and right. All the warning formations around have been triggered. Immediately activate the formations and form the formations. Several formation flags appeared in Lin Haoshao's hands, and he began to pinch the formula continuously. The others reacted instantly, took all the magic tools in their hands, and looked around vigilantly. Everyone spread their consciousness. The first one to discover the Wang family cultivator was the elder. As a veteran cultivator of the 9th level of key training, his consciousness range was the widest. There are Wang family cultivators in the north. There are both in the east and the west. A bad feeling surged into the hearts of all the Lin family cultivators. 6 key training 9 levels. Under the majestic eyes of the great elder Lin Yuking, a trace of powerlessness suddenly emerged. As the great elder and the head of the demon hunting team, he knew that he was careless and was eager for success. Uncle, we can't give up. We still have a glimmer of hope by relying on the formation. This set of 5-sided mysterious earth formation disc can block 3 key training 9 levels. Lin Haoshao shouted loudly, and the spiritual energy in his body burst out. In an instant, the cultivation level far beyond the 8th level of key training unfolded. Haoshao, you have trained key to the 9th level, good. Lin Yuking shouted loudly, and the heroic spirit in his heart swept away the haze. How could his elders be timid when the younger generation is like this? Lin Haoshao did not answer, but saw him shouting coldly, and countless oil and rocks rolled around, and huge spiritual lights rose from the surroundings, and the golden light shield surrounded everyone. The 5-sided mysterious earth formation is done. Outside the formation, the big black-faced man, a little out of breath, rode his flying sword and rushed over first. You Lin family can only be turtles. As he flew over, a huge hammer appeared in his hand. With the infusion of spiritual energy, it instantly turned into a black hammer as big as a small mountain, and smashed towards the Lin family. Ling. With a loud noise, the earth-type light shield of the 5-sided mysterious earth formation shook violently. Wang Lishan and Wang Ligan also quickly surrounded them. There were more than 30 people, 6 of whom were in the 9th level of key training, 20 in the late stage of key training, and the remaining dozen were also in the 6th level of key training. The hearts of the Lin family were full of dark clouds. The late stage of key training was okay, but the gap between the 9th level of key training cultivators was too big. Even if Lin Haoshao broke through the 9th level of key training and was a 2nd level upper grade formation master, he could only hold back 3 people who had just entered the 9th level of key training. As a physical cultivator, the elder was more easily restrained, and it would be good to hold back 2 9th level key training cultivators. Shiming, if you can't win later, I will cover your retreat. Lin Shiming had been throwing seeds and drinking monkey wine just now. Lin Yuking's voice came into his mind, and Lin Shiming understood that he had become the person that the family had to protect again. Of course, Lin Shiji, the eldest of the Lin family, also received it. Grandpa, second uncle, I can hold back a 9th level key training. At this moment, Lin Shiji suddenly shook his head and spoke. In his hand, a 2nd level top grade sword was seen, and a dazzling spiritual light came out. Next to him, Lin Shimo, who had been silent all the time, suddenly spoke. My blood corpse can also help. He took out a blood-red coffin from the storage bag, bit his finger solemnly, and dripped blood. Pinch the formula and press it. Gusts of ghostly wind came out, and the red coffin was suddenly blown away. A hideous blood-red corpse suddenly stood up, its long and sharp claws emitting cold light, coupled with its hideous fangs and blood-red turbid corpse eyes, which made everyone in the Lin family retreat. At this time, everyone discovered that Lin Shimo had already reached the 7th level of key training. Good. Shiji and Shimo, the Lin family is lucky to have you two. The elder laughed up to the sky, and in an instant, his spiritual power burst out, and his body seemed to have grown a circle out of thin air. Old fat man Lishan, old sly man Ligan, today I will show you who is the best physical cultivator in key training. The elder rushed out fiercely and killed Wang Lishan and Wang Ligan directly. Lin Haoshao also changed the 5-sided mysterious earth in an instant, and the light shield disappeared, directly turning into a huge 5-sided mysterious mountain, pressing hard towards the 3 9th level key training cultivators of the Wang family. Although the 5-sided mysterious earth can defend, it is best at attacking. The light shield disappeared, and Lin Shiji and the blood corpse rushed towards the last 9th level key training cultivator of the Wang family. HMPH, you little brat from the Lin family, you haven't even finished your hoe yet you come to humiliate me. The remaining 9th level key training cultivators of the Wang family were also furious, and when they waved their hands, a 5-element flag appeared. As the flag waved, various 5-element spells flew out continuously, bombarding Lin Shiji and the blood corpse. The endless flames continued to roast the blood corpse. The blood corpse was obviously suppressed by the flames, and it roared wildly. Lin Shimo hurriedly took out several ordinary training corpses again and grabbed the 9th level cultivators of the Wang family. Damn it, if I could give you more resources, my blood corpse would definitely reach the peak of the 2nd level, invulnerable to water and fire. Invulnerable to swords and guns. What about the 9th level key training? Lin Shimo was a little unwilling. This unwillingness fell into the ears of everyone in the Lin family, and many cultivators instantly thought about the time when Lin Shiming became the object of family support by chance. No one answered Lin Shimo, but the elder's increasingly fierce boxing skills, with that pair of top-grade boxing gloves and a pair, countless spiritual weapons were smashed away. A set of thick earth fists suppressed Wang Lishan and Wang Ligan. The scene was chaotic for a while, and the Wang family faced the Lin family. Generally speaking, the Wang family had higher cultivation, but the Lin family also had advantages. As the Purple Mansion inheritance, the skills and spells would be slightly stronger. But they could only resist with difficulty, and it seemed that the defeat was already decided. In particular, several cultivators of the 5th and 6th levels of key training had been beheaded. Lin Shiming was still drinking monkey wine, and everyone felt that Lin Shiming was crazy. When the war came, he kept drinking. Was this self-destructive? But the Wang family felt that something was wrong, because that person was the descendant of Lin Haoyan. An 8th level key training cultivator suddenly used a big fireball to blast away the 7th level Hao generation cultivator of the Lin family, and a huge magic sword slashed towards Lin Shiming. At this moment, a red-haired figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone, holding a Zuanshu heavy mountain and throwing it fiercely at the magic sword. With a bang, the magic sword smashed open, and the Zuanshu heavy mountain roared and flew back. The red-haired figure was familiar to everyone, but why did this red-haired figure hold Lin Shiming's Zuanshu Chongshan and block the sword for Lin Shiming? At this time, Lin Shiming finally stopped. He suddenly raised his head, his face flushed like a bloated ball, and his eyes were full of madness. I'm testing the waters and pushing it. Please read it and recommend it. I kowtow to all the readers here. Chapter 40. Only one sword, please enjoy together. The Green Hills had completely turned into hell. Blood was flowing in the gullies bombarded by various spells. The green monk was still defeated, and the yellow monk was still ferocious and slashed with sword after sword. Even at Lin Haoshao's place, the 5-sided mysterious earth formation began to fail. The Wang family had a 3rd level weapon refiner, so the 3 elders of the Wang family had excellent weapons. Although Lin Haoshao had some, he had just entered the 9th level of key refining. If he hadn't been drinking monkey wine to restore his spiritual energy, he might have been broken long ago. But he couldn't hold on for long. The only best scene on the scene was Lin Yuking. As a physical cultivator, he was blessed with monkey wine, and his spiritual energy was abundant. He suppressed Wang Lishan and Wang Lishan throughout the whole process. Lin Haoshao's eyes just happened to see Lin Shiming, whose face was flushed and his eyes were crazy. Of course, it was not just Lin Haoshao at this moment. The eyes of others couldn't help but look at Lin Shiming. The latter suddenly shouted, and a black lotus sword instantly grew several feet, with a strong sword light. All the old men of the Wang family. Although I, Lin Shiming, am only at the 6th level of key training, I cannot defeat you. But there is only one sword, please enjoy it together. Lin Shiming roared and opened his mouth, and saw the violent spiritual energy pouring into the green lotus sword, and the sword light shone again. Could it be that he has comprehended Lin Xian's sword? Some people in the Wang family were terrified. Lin Xian's sword was always so scary. But more people sneered, who can be fooled by the 6th level of key training? The sword light slashed out, and Lin Shiming slashed at the 8th level of key training cultivator who attacked Lin Shiming. The latter was easily blocked. Flashy. This is the evaluation of Lin Shiming by the 8th level of key training cultivator. But soon, he reacted wrongly. Lin Shiming's spiritual energy just now was definitely not just this. Even under his gaze, Lin Shiming's body slowly fell down. How is it possible? Everyone was surprised and puzzled. Such a full-strength sword was just like this? Is this the object of the Lin family's key support? The Wang family members who were concerned about Lin Shiming also stopped paying attention to him completely. It was even more unclear that Lin Shiming's spiritual power had not all flowed into the spiritual sword. However, the next moment, everyone heard a loud bang. 5 full air-breaking sounds rang out, mud and rocks flew, and giant vines appeared. In the blink of an eye, they were like 5 pillars supporting the sky, rising straight into the sky. 2 of the snake vine flowers suddenly wrapped around Wang Lishan and Wang Ligang at the critical moment. Another 3 snake vine flowers, like death chains, tied up the 3 9th level key training monks in Wufengzuan town. The most important thing is that the snake vine flower is covered with poisonous thorns. The thorns and the huge poisonous flower of the snake vine flower are naturally fine at ordinary times, but in this battle between the peak of key training, being tied up for a moment and invaded by toxins is the most deadly. The venom of the snake vine flower also began to pour out, and the spiritual light shield and the defensive talisman were eroded in an instant. Good opportunity. Lin Yuking's eyes shot out brilliance when he saw this. He didn't expect that Lin Shiming actually created such a great opportunity. A pill in his hand entered his body, the 3rd level pill, the violent pill. Increased spiritual energy, speed, and strength in a short period of time. The top-grade boxing gloves exuded the light of a mountain with earth attributes, and punched Wang Ligang. With a bang, the latter was directly turned into meat paste under a punch, leaving only a storage bag and a sword with a lost spiritual light. Period. Key training level 9, Wang Ligang, died. Wang Lishan's face was also full of surprise. He didn't expect to be deceived by a yellow-haired boy at this moment. The bluffing sword, it was only because they were too afraid of Lin Xian's sword. Almost at the same time when Lin Yuking smashed Wang Ligang to death, Lin Haoxiao over there suddenly detonated the formation. The 5-sided mysterious earth formation is an extremely powerful formation among the 2nd level upper grade formations. With a roar, the dazzling earth yellow light exploded like a volcanic eruption. Lin Haoxiao staggered and drove the flying sword away, while the 3 Wang family members who were practicing key at the 9th level died without a complete body. In just a few breaths, because of Lin Shiming's snake vine flower, 4 people who practice key at the 9th level died. And Wang Lishan was also in danger. Lin Yuking, who had taken the violent pill, even had the strength of building a foundation. If this punch hit, Wang Lishan would be either dead or seriously injured. At the critical moment, Wang Lishan took a deep breath, cut off the snake vine flower monster with a top-grade magic sword, and then pinched open a 3rd level low-grade defense talisman. He took out a half-meter-long strange talisman. The surface of this talisman was not a spiritual pattern, but a small sword, a sword full of purple energy. He began to pinch the corners of his mouth, and the small sword on the talisman became clearer and clearer. The spiritual pressure was getting stronger and stronger. Talisman treasure. Everyone in the Lin family was shocked. Especially Lin Yuking, who shouted quickly. Don't let him activate it. The power of the talisman is equivalent to blow from the Purple Mansion magic weapon. Although it was activated by a 9th level key training cultivator, its power is absolutely terrifying. The only weakness of this talisman is that it takes a long time to activate and enchant the spell. The iron fist in his hand smashed the defensive talisman countless times, but how could a 3rd level talisman be so easy to break? Lin Haoxiao had just taken a big sip of monkey wine to restore his spiritual power and relieve some of his injuries. Seeing this, he rushed to Wang Lishan again. Over there, Lin Shiji and the blood corpse were blown away by the five elements flag for the countless times. This time, Lin Shiji flew backwards again, and the blood corpse was directly exploded by the flames. Two yellow-haired kids, I'll come to kill you later. The 9th level key training cultivator of the Wang family was furious. 4 9th level key training cultivators died. Even if they killed all the people in the Lin family, they would lose money. What's more, the peak 9th level key training cultivators, the Wang family was about to be killed. Now it has far exceeded the imagination of their Wang family, but in order to survive and win, they can only protect Wang Lishan and open the talisman. The remaining 9 level cultivators of the Wang family directly intercepted Lin Haoxiao. Without the help of the formation and injured, Lin Haoxiao could not resist the cultivators of the Wang family. Especially the 5 elements flag, under the release of the 5 elements spells, Lin Haoxiao retreated step by step. The talisman in Wang Lishan's hand became brighter and brighter, and Lin Yuqing never smashed the 3rd level inferior defense talisman. Lin Yuqing's eyes were already blood red, the power of the violent pill was eroding his nerves, and the fear of death was roaming over his head. No one could stop this talisman sword. At this moment, he once again sent a voice to Lin Shiming and Lin Shiji. Go. With Wang Lishan's cold shout, a golden-purple flying sword has taken shape, and the terrifying spiritual pressure has suffocated everyone on the field. Lin Yuqing, everything is over. Wang Lishan grinned, swung his hand violently, and slashed at Lin Yuqing with a sword. Please keep reading, please keep reading, please keep reading. It is very important to test the waters by reading, brothers. Also, thank you Wu Peng Diao and Mu Su for the monthly tickets. Chapter 41 The Ownership of the Talisman. The talisman turned into a sword beam of several dozen feet, carrying infinite sword power, and slashed down with one sword. Lin Yuqing hastily threw out several second-level high-grade spiritual talismans to block, and then used high-grade defensive magic tools to block. However, the sword beam still raged towards Lin Yuqing like a rotten wood. Unmatched, no one can stop it. It is completely a sword that breaks all laws. At this moment, an even more brilliant sword light broke through the sky. The latter was seen emitting a green light, sweeping out a 10-meter-long sword light, and fiercely stabbed on the purple sword beam. A sharp and piercing sword strike sounded, and the brilliant spiritual light spread out. The residual power of the light directly overturned Lin Yuqing hundreds of meters away, and a mouthful of bright red blood spurted out 3 or 4 meters away. Lin Xianzi, why are you here? Wang Lishan was full of disbelief. At this moment, Lin Xianzi should be in Qinghai Market to participate in a trade fair for foundation-building cultivators with their Wang family's old patriarch. In the sky, a spiritual boat slowly descended. On the spiritual boat, Lin Haoyong was recovering his spiritual energy. At the front of the spiritual boat, the white-haired and green-shirted figure stood like a green pine tree, with a green Qinglian sword floating high in the sky, like a beast waiting for food, ready to cut at any time. Lin Xianzi did not answer. But it was precisely because of the lack of an answer that Wang Lishan became even more angry, more lonely and helpless. If you can't build a foundation, you will eventually be an ant. Even if he is the head of the Wang family, so what? Even if he has talismans and is invincible in practicing Qi, so what? In the end, he is practicing Qi, and in the end, he is an ant. No one will save him, and the Lin family will not spare him. Not only Wang Lishan was desperate on the scene, but also the rest of the Wang family. On the contrary, the remaining cultivators of the Lin family were in high spirits and attacked desperately. Lin Xianzi pointed, and the Qinglian sword came out, and the 3rd-level low-grade spiritual talisman on Wang Lishan's body was instantly shattered, turning into spiritual light and dissipating. Wang Lishan's head was also chopped off. Nearly 100 years of cultivation suddenly became a waste. The remaining Wang family monks began to flee, but how could they escape? Lin Shiming lay on the ground, feeling that his meridians were drained, his consciousness was exhausted, and his head was extremely dizzy. 5 extremely poisonous snake vine flowers far exceeded the upper limit of his consciousness, and many meridians in his body were broken due to the excessive use of monkey wine. Fortunately, monkey wine has the merit of restoring spiritual energy and healing injuries, otherwise he would have died in the instant of draining so many snake vine flowers. He wanted to sleep, but he couldn't sleep until the last moment. Now that his 7th uncle Lin Xianzi came, Lin Shiming was relieved. However, at this moment, an 8th-level Wang family monk, seeing that things were impossible and there was no hope of escape, rushed directly to Lin Shiming, wanting to kill him. If it weren't for Lin Shiming, their Wang family would definitely win, and they would never delay until Lin Xianxi arrived. You dare! Lin Xianxi was the first to discover it, and he was immediately furious. He raised his sword and slashed. In one go. However, he was too far away from Lin Shiming, and the Wang family monk was too close to Lin Shiming. At this moment, the short distance of several hundred meters became an insurmountable gap. Who would have thought that the Wang family monk was so insidious that he pretended to escape and then came to Lin Shiming's side in an instant? The foundation-building monk's sword was indeed very fast, but at this moment, the Wang family monk did not want to survive, but to exchange one life for another. A sword light shot out, and Lin Shiming even saw the grinning face of the yellow-robed monk, but he could not stand up to defend himself, even if he moved a finger. At this time, a red-haired figure appeared in front of Lin Shiming again. The red-haired demon monkey raised his arms high, holding a small mountain with heavy mysterious light. It was the Zhuangshu Heavy Mountain. The demon monkey roared and threw it hard to smash the Zhuangshu Heavy Mountain again. Boom! Chongshin hit the sword light, and the terrifying gravity directly knocked the sword off. The ferocious face of the yellow-robed monk turned into shock and hatred. He couldn't understand why the monkey would throw away a top-grade magic weapon. A green sword light shot over and ended the monk's life. Lin Shiming breathed in the air, and the red-haired demon monkey ran to Lin Shiming and howled as if asking for credit, but saw that Lin Shiming did not respond. Then the red-haired demon monkey ran out again, picked up Zhuangshu Chongshin and a second-level top-grade magic sword, and threw the magic sword at Lin Shiming's feet. The red-haired demon monkey continued to play with Zhuangshu Chongshin. The meaning seemed to be, Zhuangshu Chongshin belongs to me, and the magic sword is given to you in exchange. Lin Shiming looked at the demon monkey who was having fun, and wanted to touch his red-haired head. But he found that his hands still couldn't move. Lin Xianxi came over and fed Lin Shiming a mouthful of monkey wine. A warm spiritual power surged in his body, constantly repairing his meridians. In addition, Lin Xianxi took out a green lotus seed and put it into Lin Shiming's mouth. Lin Shiming had not tasted the green lotus seeds in the green lotus pond, but he knew that the green lotus seeds also had the effect of healing, which complemented the monkey wine. Good performance. Lin Xianxi praised Lin Shiming, and then cleaned up the battlefield with Lin Haoking and others. All storage bags were put away, and the bodies of the Wang family monks were burned one by releasing fireballs. Especially the talisman treasure, which still had some power, was collected by Lin Xianxi with great solemnity. This kind of purple mansion talisman treasure was very jealous even for the foundation-building monks. And only the foundation-building monks had enough spiritual power to stimulate the full power of the talisman treasure. If the power of the talisman activated by the key training cultivator is the power of the third order lower grade, then the power of the talisman activated by the foundation-building cultivator can even reach the power of the third order upper grade. However, the talisman has a flaw after all, which is that it takes a long time to make a spell. In the battle between cultivators, without sufficient defensive means, using the talisman is undoubtedly a way to death. Shiming. When Lin Shiming looked at the talisman with envy, a storage bag was thrown in front of Lin Shiming from Lin Xianxi's hand. At the latter's affirmative gesture, Lin Shiming picked up the storage bag. He was a little bit unbelievable and used the consciousness that had just recovered a little bit to explore the storage bag. The half-meter-long spiritual talisman was in the storage bag. The purple spiritual sword was a little dimmer than before, but it was undeniable that it was the spiritual talisman that made the foundation-building cultivators jealous. Seventh uncle, this. Lin Shiming still couldn't believe it. But the latter smiled and responded, could it be that the family can still chill the hearts of meritorious people? Thank you, seventh uncle. Lin Shiming was instantly overjoyed. The value of talismans varies from low to high, ranging from tens of thousands of spirit stones to hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. Although this purple sword and purple mansion talisman is not the best, it is at least tens of thousands of spirit stones. If used well at a critical moment, even a foundation-building cultivator can be seriously injured. It is simply the ultimate killer among the ultimate killers. Heal your wounds well. Lin Xianxi ordered. Seventh uncle, the third-level lower-grade spirit vein. You should heal your wounds first. If you are not destined to have a spirit vein, why not let them take it away? Lin Xianxi shook his head, and then walked to other places to continue rewarding and treating other cultivators. In total, 6 storage bags of key training 9th level cultivators and more than 20 storage bags of key training late stage cultivators were obtained. Lin Shiming was given a storage bag of a key training 9th level cultivator and a storage bag of a key training 8th level cultivator because of his key contribution. In addition to Lin Shiming, Lin Shiji and Lin Shimo both received a storage bag of a key training 9th level cultivator and a storage bag of a key training 8th level cultivator. None of the Lin family's Hao and Yu generation monks complained, because they deserved it. At the same time, they knew that they were witnessing the rise of the Shi generation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. It's not that I won't take revenge, it's just that the time has not come yet. In a temporary cave, Lin Shiming slowly woke up from his practice. The long-lasting King Muju played a big role in healing and recovering. If he had practiced fire-based exercises, he would have felt a sharp pain in his meridians. Of course, the second great superior monkey wine and the lotus seeds of King Lian also played a big role. Otherwise, it would take at least several days for Lin Shiming to stabilize so quickly. Shiming, how are you? Are you feeling better? Lin Haowei, Lin Shiji and others who were meditating nearby also looked over. It was his fifth uncle Lin Haoyong who spoke. Lin Shiming looked around and found that most of the Lin family members were there, deep in the temporary cave. At the same time, his spiritual sense sensed that Lin Yuking and Lin Haoxiao were healing. They were the two who were under the most pressure just now. Seeing Lin Shiming wake up, many of the slightly injured looked at Lin Shiming. There was a difference in their gazes from the past. Lin Shiming saw a trace of concern and respect in their eyes. If it weren't for Lin Shiming's final sacrifice to stimulate the snake vine flower, the Lin family might have been wiped out. At this moment, no one doubted that Lin Shiming was the key support of the family. Even Lin Shimo, when he looked at Lin Shiming, it was as if he was looking at Lin Shiji. Obviously, he had already put Lin Shiming on the same level as Lin Shiji. Thank you for your concern, Uncle Wu. Fortunately, Uncle Wu came in time this time, otherwise the ending would be unimaginable. Lin Shiming said with emotion. Looking back, it was just a moment away. If he had come a little later, he had no doubt that the Purple Mansion talisman could have killed most of the Lin family. You have made a great contribution, much more powerful than Uncle Wu. Lin Haoxiao also praised, and then thought of something, and said, Uncle Qi is looking for you, go in. Lin Shiming nodded, slowly got up, but found that his whole body was still a little painful. He couldn't help thinking in his mind whether he should find a secret method of body refining to practice. But thinking of his 3 spiritual roots, he didn't know how long it would take to practice to build a foundation, so he gave up immediately. When they came to the depths of the cave, there were 2 cave entrances blocked by stones. On a large stone next to the cave entrance, Lin Xianzi was sitting cross-legged, just as Lin Shiming had seen him for the first time. 7th Uncle. Lin Shiming bowed his hands. Lin Xianzi opened his eyes, looked at Lin Shiming, and said, How is your injury? Thank you for your concern, 7th Uncle. Shiming's injury is just caused by spiritual energy, not worth mentioning. Lin Shiming replied casually, and then his eyes looked at the 2 cave entrances intentionally or unintentionally. In Lin Shiming's opinion, the most seriously injured person was definitely the 2nd uncle who blew up the 5-sided mysterious earth formation. That's a fierce man. Secondly, the great-grandfather is also completely worthy of the name of physical cultivation, but he must be seriously injured. Lin Xianzi looked at Lin Shiming's eyes, and then looked at the 2 caves behind him. He knew in his heart that Shiming was concerned about the 2 elders, and he couldn't help but admire Lin Shiming more. Then he said, They also took the spirit lotus and monkey wine, and they just need to rest for a few months. Since you are fine, then you can come with me later, and we will go find the people of the Wang family. Lin Shiming was speechless when he heard this. According to this tone, I am afraid that the 7th uncle has already looked for it, but he has not found the whereabouts of the Wang family and the 3rd level inferior spiritual vein. You know, although the system prompts that there is a 3rd level inferior spiritual vein, it only says to go north, and does not say how far north. And his golden phoenix bird also flew a circle casually and came back. In a quarter of an hour, plus the flying speed of the golden phoenix bird, I am afraid that his seventh uncle knows how far it has flown. I will listen to the seventh uncle's instructions. Lin Shiming agreed happily. He even started to make up excuses in his heart, but surprisingly, Lin Xianzi did not ask any more questions. After instructing Lin Haoyi and others to guard the law for Lin Yuking and Lin Hao, Lin Xianzi took Lin Shiming and Lin Haoyi to set off. To Lin Shiming's surprise, Lin Shiji and Lin Shimo both took the initiative to ask to go together. Lin Shiming could understand that Lin Shiji was at the 8th level of key training, but Lin Shimo made him a little confused. The latter's strength was all in corpse training, but his blood corpse was blown up by both arms. No one knew who had the powerful 5 elements flag. But obviously, it was not him who made the decision. At Lin Xianzi's nod, several people boarded Lin Xianzi's flying boat. However, the spirit boat did not rise to hundreds of meters, but was like a 2 or 3 meter long flatboat, which was extremely magical. The advantage of this is also obvious. In the Qinghai Mountains, the target is smaller without affecting the speed. The spiritual boat was almost flying close to the jungle. The golden eagle was croaking on Lin Shiming's shoulder, and Lin Shiming was pointing the way. All the way north, the speed of the spiritual boat was also extremely terrifying. After about 5 or 6 hours, Lin Shiming saw a hill in the distance, and the rich spiritual power was particularly conspicuous. When he got closer, he could see several yellow-robed corpses left near the hill. They died in extremely tragic ways. All of them were beaten to death by terrifying palm prints. There were countless gullies on the ground, and a large area of trees was destroyed. In front, Lin Xianzi's eyes lit up, and then he looked at the remaining few people. Lin Xianzi asked everyone to get off the spiritual boat and hide their bodies. At this moment, there were still bursts of roars and the sound of swords and knives on the hill. It was obvious that the battle was not over yet. Lin Xianzi flipped his hand and took out 5 spiritual talismans from the storage bag, one for each of the 5 people. All 5 of them were second-grade, top-grade soul-hiding talismans, which had a good effect of isolating spiritual consciousness. Of course, if the foundation-building cultivators used their spiritual consciousness to detect with all their strength, the effect would be greatly reduced. But at this moment, the Wang family cultivators were probably beaten to a pulp by the earth-violent bear. A group of 5 people, each of them took a soul-hiding talisman and headed carefully up the mountain. There were more gullies along the way. Finally, the scene in front of them came into view. It was still a familiar figure, Wang Kaili and Wang Kaiyu, and 6 9th-level key training cultivators. These 9th-level cultivators obviously mastered a formation and kept bombarding various 5-element spells. In front of them, there was a giant earth bear more than 5 meters tall, beating 2 foundation-building cultivators. The earth-violent bear was wounded everywhere, and the earth magic armor covering its fur was blown away and had holes. From time to time, a thorn of the earth was blocked by Wang Kaili holding a glittering shield. The earth-violent bear was obviously at a disadvantage, and the Wang family was in extremely bad condition. The Lin family came at such a coincidence. Lin Shiming thought about the Peach Blossom Valley incident again, and suddenly thought of a sentence. It's not that I won't report it, it's just that the time has not come yet. Woohoo, please read it, please collect it, please recommend it, please vote for it. These few days are really important, please everyone. Chapter 43, Special Lock on the Earth Escapes Spiritual Beast. On the nameless mountain, the roar of the earth bear became weaker and weaker, far less violent than before. On the contrary, it gave people a sense of tragic helplessness. It was more injured, and the attacks of Wang Kaili, Wang Kaiyu and others became more fierce. And every move was aimed at the wound of the earth bear. Everyone pay attention, this earth bear will definitely counterattack before dying. Wang Kaiyu was not impatient, and cautiously reminded several 9th-level key training monks. All spells and even magic tools began to focus on siege, boiling frogs and warm water. Lin Xianzi, who was far away, looked at this scene from afar, turned his head and signaled Lin Shiming and others to hide, and then took Lin Haoyi on to continue forward. The opposite side was at least equivalent to 3 foundation-building helpers. He had to kill at least 1 or even 2 to control the situation. This time there was no top-grade monkey wine to squander. He also did not allow to let the tiger go back to the mountain again. Lin Shiming, Lin Shiji and others did not move, but looked at the battle of the foundation-building period in front of them. It was a bit surprising. The power of destroying the world with a wave of his hand was the strength of the foundation-building cultivator. It was really terrifying. Lin Shiming was relatively restrained towards the foundation-building cultivator. The fight of trapped beasts was not so shocking. On the contrary, he began to pay attention to why the earth bear did not retreat. Where is the third-level spiritual vein? The second-level upper-grade spiritual vein has a whole spiritual pool of spiritual water. How could the third-level spiritual vein not have spiritual objects? This may be the key to his breakthrough. Brother, look at the back. Lin Shiming pulled Lin Shiji's shoulder and pulled the latter's eyes back from the strong yearning. Is that the cave of the earth bear? Lin Shiji was also overjoyed. I saw that there was a 5-meter-high cave about 1,000 meters behind the earth bear. Outside the cave, there were a large number of monster bones and several monster food that had just been bitten to death and were still bleeding. The cave was dark and bottomless, extremely deep and long. Lin Shiming and the others did not dare to use their spiritual sense to sense it, and could only worry. The battle next to them also entered the final white-hot period. Knowing that there was no hope of survival, the earth-violent bear became even more brutal. The huge bear body suddenly jumped up and smashed down like Mount Tai. The earth attribute spiritual energy of the two bear paws condensed crazily, and the fishy wind and spiritual pressure that blew out made the Wang family frown and retreat several steps. Quick, use all means, this evil bear is going to die. Wang Kaili's whole body of true energy was activated, and the third-level magic weapon Golden Shield suddenly grew to more than 6 meters high and more than 5 meters thick, blocking the front tightly. Wang Kaili successively offered a third-level middle-grade flying sword, a third-level middle-grade spiritual ring, and a third-level top-grade pagoda. The three foundation-building magic weapons, with brilliant spiritual light, turned into supreme killing weapons and slashed at the earth-violent bear. The remaining few key training 9th level also had blue veins exposed, and they operated the formation with all their strength, as if the whole world had become a world of 5 elements, and various spells were rampant. Boom! The devastating sound made Lin Shiming and others in the distance feel that their ears were about to burst. The entire earth was blasted down several meters. Finally killed this evil beast. Wang Kaiyu breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing the earth-violent bear die, the whole person was relieved. Be careful. Suddenly, Wang Kaiyu frowned again and turned around to remind loudly. Obviously sensed something. But it was too late. A huge green lotus sword, with unparalleled sword light and spiritual energy. Pooh! A third-level inferior defensive inner armor on Wang Kaili's body shattered and exploded directly, and the whole body was directly cut in half. Wang Kaili didn't even show any expression, let alone alert, and was instantly killed by Lin Xianzi with a sword. The scene was dead silent. Lin Xianzi, why are you here? Wang Kaiyu was shocked to see Wang Kaili's death, and then he was furious. He frantically pinched a formula in his hands, hanging 3 third-level magic weapons around, ready to attack Lin Xianzi. The expected greetings did not appear. Lin Xianzi's time was obviously very precious. Another green lotus sword flew out. It slashed at several 9th-level key training cultivators. Lin Xianzi, you are not afraid of our 5th uncle, and you are not afraid of the Li family. Wang Kaiyu shouted directly, hoping to stop Lin Xianzi. But the green lotus sword flew out, and the green lotus sword light followed. Wherever it passed, blood flowers bloomed. Those 9th-level key training cultivators almost used up all their spiritual energy in the last blow, and there was no time to replenish it, and 4 of them died instantly. The remaining 2 suddenly pressed a spiritual talisman and actually escaped underground. Only then did they avoid the attack. 2 escape lights, one on the left and one on the right, fled underground in all directions. Lin Haoyong behind him immediately rushed out and chased after one of the 9th-level key training cultivators. Lin Xianzi wanted to kill the remaining one, but he didn't expect that Wang Kaiyu's 3 magic weapons would also bombard him at this moment. He had to stop and block it with his sword. After the 3 swords were slashed, the old power was gone, and the new power had not yet been born. Lin Xianzi finally spoke, "Shut up. You." Wang Kaiyu was so angry that he vomited blood. They were both in the middle stage of foundation building, so why did Lin Xianzi ignore him? And why did Lin Xianzi not dare to do it last time, but dare to do it this time? The 2 started fighting again. Unlike before, although Lin Xianzi had recovered his cultivation, he had no top-grade monkey wine to replenish it. Facing Wang Kaiyu, who had 3 third-level medium-grade or above magic weapons, he no longer had the absolute crushing before. But he still suppressed Lin Xianzi with every sword. Lin Shiji and Lin Shimo were fascinated by the scene. The foundation-building cultivator was so terrifying. Lin Shiming, who was standing next to him, looked at the remaining 9th-level key training cultivator who escaped with some worry. No, he wants to play tricks under the lamp. The battle had already begun, and Lin Shiming no longer needed to hide his identity and restrain his consciousness. When it started, my goodness, I saw that the remaining 9th-level key training cultivator actually rushed towards the cave of the Earth-Violent Bear. Lin Shiming was shocked by the boldness of this cultivator. The Wang family's foundation building was already dangerous, but they were still trying to take advantage of the situation. Brother, go to the bear cave, someone is stealing treasures. Lin Shiming naturally didn't dare to go up alone. You know, his current strength can only be exerted to the 5th level at most, and it is even more impossible to release the snake vine flower. What? Lin Shiji was shocked and instantly furious. At this time, someone is picking peaches. After calling Lin Shimo, the three of them flew towards the cave together. Because the distance was relatively close, several people quickly rushed to the bear cave. When they arrived at the cave, the three of them immediately felt a strong smell of blood, followed by an extremely rich spiritual energy, which made several people take a deep breath in an instant. There is no doubt that the 3rd-level lower-grade spiritual vein is here, and only this kind of 3rd-level middle-grade Earth-Violent Bear can occupy the 3rd-level lower-grade spiritual vein. The treasures of the 3rd-level spiritual vein are naturally extremely precious. Brother, find a way to restrict him from escaping underground. Lin Shiming frowned and said. Don't worry, it was because Uncle's 7th grandfather was not prepared. Lin Shiji said confidently, and then took out several formation flags from his storage bag. What is this? Locking earth formation, specially used to prevent some rare earth-burrowing spirit beasts from escaping. Thank you all for your recommendation votes, collections and follow-up reading. Thank you for the monthly ticket of Nai Mozen Hong, and special thanks to the big brother Ding Tai Ting Luo for the reward. Exclamation mark. Chapter 44 Breakthrough? A dozen array flags flew into the ground, and suddenly a stream of spiritual energy formed a specific spiritual prison. The area within 100 meters was all locked in the earth-locking range of the earth-locking array. In particular, the rich spiritual energy here has simply increased the power of the earth-locking array. Let's go. The earth-locking array was ready, and several people were ready to go in and catch the turtle in the jar. Although he was at the 9th level of key training, he suffered such a serious injury and consumed most of his spiritual energy, so the three of them were not too afraid. Lin Shimo walked in the front, and in front of him were 3 iron corpses. The iron corpses were all glowing with cold light and had corpse hair, which made Lin Shiming feel a little sick. Especially seeing Lin Shimo caressing the 3 iron corpses for a while. Of course, Lin Shiming did not delay, and got all the red-haired demon monkeys and golden-winged mantises out. At this moment, Lin Shiming dared not be careless. Most of his strength is related to the snake vine flower, but now he can't use it. When the red-haired demon monkey came out, he held Zuamshu Chongshin and headed into the cave with curiosity. The golden-winged mantis followed Lin Shiming obediently. 7th brother, this mantis of yours, didn't you buy it in the market last time? Lin Shiji had some doubts. This mantis was golden all over, and it was much bigger than the ordinary green-winged mantis. Its spiritual power was much greater than the latter. Yes. Lin Shiming didn't say much. Although Lin Shiji was curious, it was not the time to ask more questions. After making all preparations, the three of them began to walk into the cave. At this moment, a figure rushed out from inside, and a 2nd-level top-grade magic sword slashed swiftly. Damn Lin family kid, he actually set a soul beast lock earth formation for me. After taking the treasure, the yellow-robed monk naturally thought of using the earth escape technique to escape. Unexpectedly, he was locked by the earth lock formation that just restrained it. Without destroying the formation base, the earth escape talisman could not be used at all. I will chop you into pieces. This sword was accompanied by endless roars and rage. Lin Shimo's iron corpse rushed forward first, but was chopped apart by the spirit sword. The remaining 2 were directly passed before they could rush over, and continued to chop towards Lin Shimo. Lin Shiji roared, and also urged all his spiritual power, and slashed at the cocky spirit sword with a top-grade Lihiro sword. Clang. With a crisp sound, the cocky spirit sword of the yellow-robed monk was worthy of being a top-grade spirit sword. It still had the upper hand and continued to chop with the remaining power. The yellow-robed monk grinned and urged the magic sword to make the spirit sword more powerful. Boom. The next moment, he was stunned to hear two howling sounds, and a miniature mountain suddenly smashed over. His sword was like being smashed down by a mountain, and the direction changed instantly. Heavy, incomparably heavy. His sword was changed in direction, so naturally he returned without success. But you have to know that there are two iron corpses at this moment, and they are also furiously grabbing at the yellow-robed monk. These iron corpses are equivalent to mid-stage key training monks, but they are more powerful than mid-stage monks. They are fearless and their bodies are as strong as iron. The cave is already narrow, and the yellow-robed monk has no way to avoid it. He can only take out a shield magic weapon again and slap the two iron corpses away fiercely. A sword light shot out, and this time Lin Yi's sword was still burning with billowing flames. He violently slashed at the yellow-robed monk. The yellow-robed monk once again drove the spirit sword back to rescue. Damn it, if it's not for the lack of spiritual energy. The yellow-robed monk was furious and helpless. There were still several powerful magic weapons in his storage bag, but his spiritual energy had already been consumed by more than half, and he was almost dead under Lin Yi's sword. The spiritual energy restored by the spirit stone is simply a drop in the bucket. But even so, his top-grade magic sword is far better than Lin Yi's Lihua sword. However, there was another bang, and the red-haired monkey in the distance had picked up Zhuangshu Changshan at some point. It smashed down again, breaking his top-grade magic sword. This made the yellow-robed monk so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. This method of throwing stones was really insulting. Kill you first. The yellow-robed monk once again struggled to control a sword and slashed at the red-haired demon monkey. The red-haired demon monkey immediately dodged to the side, and Lin Shiming was now driving the Molian sword and slashing at the spirit sword. Lin Shiming's spiritual energy was already scarce, so the power of the spirit sword was naturally not very great. Hey! The yellow-robed monk seemed to have discovered a new world, and his eyes were like eagle eyes, aiming at Lin Shiming. This is a big breakthrough. The yellow-robed monk didn't care, and rushed towards Lin Shiming in an instant. The top-grade spirit sword and Lin Yi slashed together to defend against the attacks of the two corpses of the shield defender and Lin Shimo. The whole person drove a top-grade sword and rushed towards Lin Shiming. Lin Shiming was also shocked and quickly took 3 or 4 spiritual talismans, one of which was a top-grade water shield talisman. Countless spiritual shields rose up, but they could only barely block the attack of the yellow-robed monk, and the top-grade Molian sword was chopped off. At this moment, the red-haired demon monkey picked up Zhuangshu Changshan again. Lin Shiming suddenly recited the ordinary wood vine technique, and countless vines were trapped in the cave in almost an instant. Before the yellow-robed monk could break free, a huge hill fell over, which was Zhuangshu Changshan. The yellow-robed monk had seen the power of Zhuangshu Changshan, and quickly drove the flying sword to cut Zhuangshu Changshan away. At this moment, a golden light shot out. A mere second-level middle-grade mantis. The yellow-robed monk took a body protection talisman, and before he finished mocking, he found that the golden mantis had a terrifying speed, which was not much slower than the late-stage key training monk. As the two golden sickle feet swung, the yellow-robed monk saw the protective talisman on his body being cut apart in an instant. His neck was also cut apart at the same time. The Wang family monk who had practiced key for the 9th level, died. The yellow-robed monk never thought until his death that it was a second-level demon mantis that killed him. Lin Shiming fell to the ground again due to lack of spiritual energy, breathing heavily. Lin Yi and Lin Shimo, who were far away, also hurried to help Lin Shiming. The golden-winged mantis flew back again, huddled behind Lin Shiming, and kept pushing Lin Shiming with its golden triangular head, as if asking for credit. The red-haired demon monkey also picked up Zhuangshu Changshan, walked to Lin Shiming's side, patted Lin Shiming's storage bag with one hand, and continued to play with Zhuangshu Changshan with the other hand. After 2 howling sounds, the golden-winged mantis behind him also felt as if it was time to eat, and squeaked. "7th brother, your 2 spirit beasts are pretty good. The second one is the offspring of the 2 demon monkeys in Peach Blossom Valley." After seeing that Lin Shiming was just exhausted, Lin Yi immediately set his sights on the red-haired demon monkey and the golden-winged mantis, his eyes full of praise. "Well, let's see what treasures we have first." Lin Shiming changed the subject and began to look forward to the treasures he could get. Please read, collect, and recommend. This week is really important. Please, please, big guys. Chapter 45 Spiritual Soil. Inside the bear cave, Lin Shiming stood up and brushed off the dust on his body. He took out some spiritual water and spiritual food from the storage bag and distributed them to the golden-winged mantis and the red-haired demon monkey. The two spiritual beasts got the spiritual food and immediately gathered together to eat and drink. Lin Shiming looked outside the cave. The battle outside had obviously come to an end. Several people could not help but worry and probe their spiritual senses outside, but found that the seventh uncle Lin Yi was picking up the storage bags of several foundation-building cultivators with one hand, and the fifth uncle Lin Huaiyong also returned happily with a storage bag. The three of them immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Although they had guessed it long ago, Wang Kai was also a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building, and it was inevitable that there would be accidents. There are many things that happen in the gutter in the world of immortal cultivation. So far, the Wang family has lost 34 cultivators in the late stage of key training, 12 cultivators in the 9th level of key training, and 2 cultivators in the foundation building stage. After this battle, the Wang family not only can't think of trouble with the Lin family, but also have to be careful of other families. Without power and assets that match their strength, in the eyes of other foundation building families, they are just delicious fat meat. Lin Yi and Lin Huaiyong came to the bear cave one after another, and the corpse of the earth-violent bear was also collected by Lin Yi. The corpse of a third-level medium-quality monster is full of treasures, especially the pair of bear claws used as boxing gloves, which are the most powerful. If the weapon refiner is better, he can definitely refine an excellent third-level medium-quality magic weapon. At that time, those foundation-building body cultivators will definitely flock to it and go crazy for it. Seventh uncle, fifth uncle. Lin Shiming and the other two spoke almost at the same time. Good job. After Lin Yi gave the three people an encouragement, he took the lead and walked towards the depths of the cave. As for the storage bag of the yellow-robed 9th level key training cultivator, he did not take it, as if he tacitly agreed to the three people to accept the storage bag. Lin Shiming and others followed in an instant. Although they arrived early, they were fighting with the yellow-robed cultivator and had no time to care about what was in the bear cave. At this moment, they were also curious. When they came to the deepest part of the bear cave, they saw that the space became larger. A groove about 5 or 6 meters wide was just right for the earth bear to lie down and sleep. Next to the groove was a pile of fertile soil that had been turned over. The rich spiritual energy was exuding in the air. It was obvious that several spiritual herbs had been pulled out. If nothing unexpected happened, the spiritual herbs should be in the storage bag of the yellow-robed monk. What disappointed Lin Shiming was that there was no spiritual pool. The third-level inferior spiritual vein was indeed here. The rich spiritual energy was much richer than the second-level superior spiritual vein found in Taohu Valley. Good. With this third-level inferior spiritual vein, the family's spiritual vein can be upgraded to third-level superior spiritual vein. Lin Yi looked at the richness of the spiritual energy and smiled. The goal this time was finally achieved, and it was far more complete than expected. All the Wang family monks were wiped out and the third-level inferior spiritual vein was seized. Lin Yi then walked to the soil where the spiritual herbs had been pulled out, took out a jade box, and began to pack the soil. As if seeing the confusion of the others, Lin Yi spoke patiently again. Spiritual veins also have different attributes. The water attribute spiritual veins are more, and they emit rich water attribute spiritual energy. The output is likely to be spiritual water in the spiritual pool. Here, the earth attribute spiritual energy is more, and the output is naturally spiritual soil. As if to verify his idea, Lin Yi grabbed another handful of spiritual soil and gave it to Lin Shiming, and slowly spoke. You have woodvine seeds, put the woodvine seeds in it and see. Lin Shiming nodded, took the spiritual soil, took out some woodvine seeds from the storage bag, and put them in. The magical scene began. Lin Shiming did not use the woodvine technique to inject spirit and stimulate it. But only green buds began to appear, and the vitality was obviously many times greater. This is the third-level spiritual soil, which is helpful for the third-level spiritual plants, especially suitable for transplanting precious spiritual plants. Lin Yi explained again. Lin Shiming and others were also surprised. They did not expect that this black soil could have such a magical effect. Lin Yi gave 3 caddies of spiritual soil to the 3 people of the Shi generation and even Lin Huaiyong, and the remaining half was solemnly put away by him. Huaiyong, Go outside and set up a defensive formation, and then recover first. Lin Yi instructed Lin Haoyong, who agreed and strode away. Lin Yi also began to find a place to simply recover his spiritual energy. The Battle of Foundation Building had caused the loss of spiritual energy to be far more serious than expected. Moreover, near this spiritual vein, the recovery speed is much faster than usual. As for Lin Shiming and the other two, they bowed and withdrew from the deepest part, found a slightly flat place, and began to plan to divide the storage bag. In Lin Shiji's hand was the storage bag of the yellow-robed monk. The yellow-robed monk of the Wang family was killed by the three of them, and the spoils of war also belonged to them by default. The three of them were quite looking forward to the storage bag of a monk who could escape from the sword of the seventh uncle and seemed to have stolen the treasure of the bear cave. Old 7 and Old 4, the same rules apply. The three of us will share equally. Old 7, you have made the most contributions, so you go first. Old 4, you have lost one of your iron corpses, so you go second. Lin Shiji said very fairly, and then under the gaze of the three people, he took out the contents of the storage bag one by one. The yellow-robed monk's spiritual talismans and spiritual pills had almost been consumed, so there were only a pile of magic tools and a pile of spiritual herbs, and even some spiritual stones, and 2 jade slips. Lin Shiji first checked the 2 jade slips. These must have been copied by each of them and handed over to the family in exchange for contribution points. What surprised several people was that the first jade slip recorded the flag refining method and formation method of the 5 elements breaking spirit formation, which was the formation that several Wang family members in the late stage of key training set up and attacked together to cast the foundation building power spell. This formation was not very practical for the three people, but as a second level top grade formation, it was worth at least 4,000 or 5,000 spiritual stones. And it was the kind that was in short supply. The second jade slip surprised them even more. It turned out to be a 5-element escape talisman inheritance, which recorded 5 kinds of escape talismans, suitable for escaping in various places. This shield talisman inheritance is much more precious than some ordinary spiritual talisman inheritances. In some specific scenarios, it can save the life of a warrior. For example, if the yellow-robed monk was not so greedy, he would definitely be able to escape. If he handed it over to the family, he would get at least 3,000 or 4,000 spirit stones as a reward. The three of them smiled immediately. The value of these 2 jade slips was 7,000 or 8,000 spirit stones. For the next magic weapon, Lin Shimo chose the best second-level top-grade magic sword, and Lin Shiming chose the top-grade shield and named it the Thick Earth Shield. Finally, his own magic weapons were fully supplemented. The magic sword had the newly acquired conceal sword, the shield had the Thick Earth Shield, and the control had the snake vine flower. A strong sense of self-confidence sprouted in Lin Shiming's heart, but after a moment, he was forced to suppress it. There are so many hidden dragons and crouching tigers among the immortal cultivators. Lin Shiji was the last to choose, and he chose 3 second-grade top-grade magic swords plus an unused Earth Escape magic talisman. Lin Shimo wanted to give up his top-grade magic sword, but was rejected by the latter who took out the fire sword. In general, the three were quite satisfied. In addition to the treasures, each of them got 500 spiritual stones. After the distribution, they all couldn't help but sigh at the wealth of the yellow-robed monk. Finally, Lin Shiji took out the last few jade boxes, and inside the jade boxes were the spiritual herbs that the yellow-robed monk took away. Chapter 46, Illusion Heartgrass and 5 Elements Flag. The dark green jade box was carved with beautiful spiritual patterns. Lin Shiji opened the jade box carefully. However, he only saw a bunch of ice blue spiritual herbs placed in it. On the leaves of the spiritual herbs, there were some sparkling crystal spiritual lights, which were magnificent. The spiritual herbs exuded spiritual energy far beyond the second level. With a deep breath, you can smell a hint of refreshing grass fragrance. Instantly refreshed, the mind was clearer than ever before. What is this? Lin Shiming and the other two couldn't help rubbing their eyes, their faces full of disbelief. This is Yuangsan grass, one of the 3 main materials of the foundation building pill. Lin Shiji was the first to lose his voice. Lin Shiji's grandfather is Lin Yuki, the only second-level top-grade alchemist in the Lin family. Although Lin Shiji doesn't like alchemy, he has been influenced by it since he was a child and knows most of the spiritual plants. Not to mention the legendary 3 main medicines of the foundation building pill, Huangsan grass. Hearing this, Lin Shiming and Lin Shimo no longer had any doubts, and began to suppress their excitement and opened the other jade boxes one by one. The last 10 jade boxes contained 10 pieces of huanxin grass. The richer grass fragrance made the three people's minds refreshed. 3 of them were young grasses less than 10 years old, and the remaining 7 were the 100-year-old huanxin grasses that could really be used to make medicine. Leave it to the 7th uncle. Lin Shiming spoke first, breaking the silence. Lin Shiji and Lin Shimo all nodded in agreement. Huanxin grass, the main medicine for building the foundation, is really too important. If it is put up for auction in the market, it is already tens of thousands of spiritual stones, and its value cannot even be simply measured by spiritual stones. No one who has huanxin grass would be stupid enough to sell it. The 3 people carefully covered the jade box. In order to keep the 3 young grasses active, Lin Shiming took out half a caddy of spiritual soil and placed it in the jade box. They came to the depths of the bear cave again and called the 7th uncle. When talking about huanxin grass, Lin Xianzi was also extremely cautious. After taking over Lin Shiming's jade box, he was much more careful than usual. Gently opening the jade box, looking at the huanxin grass lying in the jade box, Lin Xianzi couldn't help but take a deep breath. Shiming, you have done a great job again. Lin Xianzi looked at the 3 people in front of him, and the admiration in his eyes became more intense. In addition, Lin Haoyong, who had arranged the formation outside, just came back. When he saw the huanxin grass, he was stunned. He could no longer control the expression on his face and was full of joy. This was the first time that Lin Shiming saw Wu Bo so out of control and ecstatic. The family also has another main medicine for the foundation building pill, the black ice flower. We only need the shining fruit to start refining the foundation building pill. Lin Xianzi was happy and explained to the younger generations, and at the same time hoped that the Shi generation would remember it. Especially Lin Shiming, with such good luck, maybe he can really find the shining fruit. Lin Haoyong is at the 9th level of key training and is also the foundation building seed of the family, but Lin Shiming's father Lin Haoyong has better spiritual roots than Lin Haoyong, and is also younger. He has been polishing for a long time, and he can buy the foundation building pill by then. Lin Haoyong is also the first choice. You should know that Lin Haoyong is already 57 years old, not far from the upper limit of 60 for foundation building. The appearance of huanxin grass undoubtedly gave the latter great hope. Shiming, Shiji, Shimo, you have made great contributions to the recovery of the spiritual grass, and each of you will get 5,000 contribution points. Lin Xianzi promised directly. Thank you, 7th uncle. Lin Shiming and the other 3 were immediately ecstatic. 5,000 contribution points are equivalent to 5,000 spiritual stones. In addition, when you return to the family and hands in the 2 jade slips, you can also get 7,000 to 8,000 contribution points. After converting to spiritual stones, each person will get 2,000 to 3,000 spiritual stones. This wealth is even richer than the elders of the 9th level of key training in an instant. And you should know that in the Wang family ambush, each of the 3 people got a storage bag of a 9th level elder and a late-stage key training cultivator. There must be a lot of treasures in it. Okay, you should also take the time to recover your spiritual energy. Tomorrow we will transplant the spiritual veins and return to Fangmu Mountain. Lin Xianzi said. Yes. Lin Shiming was fine. After hearing what his 7th uncle said, he suppressed his emotions instantly, calmed down, and began to practice quietly. Lin Shiji and Lin Shimo walked out a little restlessly. Lin Shiji wanted to try out the new spiritual sword, while Lin Shimo wanted to try to restore the iron corpse and blood corpse. After a night of silence, Lin Shiming woke up from his practice in the early morning of the next day. The gentle spiritual power of King Muju, coupled with the medicinal power of King Lian and Shangpin monkey wine, allowed Lin Shiming's meridians to recover slightly. I believe that as long as he rests for half a month, he will be able to recover to the peak. And Lin Shiming also has a feeling that the bottleneck of the 7th level of key training has been loosened. At that time, he only needs to wait for the injury to recover and find a good place with rich spiritual energy to break into the 7th level of key training and become a true late-stage key training cultivator. He is also a 21-year-old late-stage key training cultivator. By then, Lin Shiming can practice the secret method of Xianmu seeding spirits. With the secret method, the spiritual energy is far greater than 3 or 4 times that of the same level, and fighting is simply a natural advantage. At that time, With his many magical instruments, even the 8th and 9th level cultivators could fight. While Lin Shiming was looking forward to it, the 3 spirit beasts in the spirit beast bag started to make a fuss on time, and the emotions calling Lin Shiming kept coming out from the storage bag. Lin Shiming came to the side and released the 3 spirit beasts. Because of taking the beast-raising pill, these spirit beasts eat very frequently and on time. The spiritual water and spiritual food made Lin Shiming distressed for a while. Fortunately, this trip to Kingayan Mountains had a huge harvest, otherwise he really had to find a way to obtain spiritual stones. After feeding the spirit beasts, Lin Shiming took out the 2 storage bags he had harvested before and checked and summarized the gains. The storage bag of the late-stage cultivator of key training was obviously shabby, with only a few hundred spirit stones, a few second-level high-grade spiritual instruments, and a few spiritual talismans, but no top-grade spiritual instruments. It was the turn of the 9th level cultivator's storage bag. As soon as he opened it, he saw a small 5-color flag at a glance. The beautiful spiritual patterns exuded a strong spiritual fluctuation. 5 elements flag. Lin Shiming had never expected that this storage bag was actually the storage bag of the monk who bombarded Lin Shiji and Lin Shimo. He did not expect that the 5 elements flag he had been thinking about was actually in his own hands. The talisman, the 5 elements flag of the best magic weapon, were all in his hands. Lin Shiming was immediately more grateful to his 7th uncle. He understood that when the storage bag was allocated, he must have taken care of him. This 5 elements flag is a fine product even among the best magic weapons. It is worth at least 6 or 7,000 spirit stones. The crazy bombardment of 5 kinds of magic spells is really violent. You know, Lin Shimo's blood corpse and Lin Shiji's Lihiro swordsmanship are all miserable under this 5 elements flag. After receiving the 5 elements flag, Lin Shiming calmed down for a while. As for the remaining magic weapons, there was nothing too amazing. Lin Shiming also planned to sell a few top-grade magic weapons and exchange them for spirit stones. I have gained more than 800 lingxi. Thanks to the book friends with the last numbers 0456 and Zhuan for the monthly tickets. I will continue to ask for recommendations, follow-up reading, and monthly tickets. I love you. Chapter 47 The Second Elder's Concern. At noon, Lin Xianzi, who had recovered in the cave, finally woke up. He called Lin Shiming and others over one by one. He began to bind spirits again. It was the same unknown spirit disc. At some point, it had appeared in Lin Xianzi's hand. Just like last time, Lin Xianzi cast an extremely complex spirit binding spell, which made the spirit disc shine brightly. A dragon-shaped spiritual energy roared like a dragon's roar and rushed into the sky. Then this dragon-shaped spiritual energy plunged into the bottom of the spiritual soil. The spiritual energy around began to rise again. Compared with the second-level upper-grade spiritual vein, it was more difficult to bind spirits. Lin Xianzi began to sweat on his head, and his frown showed the difficulty of binding spirits. Finally, the spirit spell was cast again, and with a dragon's roar, the surrounding spiritual energy began to slowly shrink. And a yellowish-brown dragon-shaped spiritual energy grew a lot and flew into the spirit disc. Collect. Lin Xianzi put away the spirit disc, and this trip to Kingayan was basically over. The 5 people did not stop, and continued to fly out of the Kingayan Mountains on the spirit boat. They met the elders and others beside the old hill. Lin Yuqi and Lin Haoshao's injuries have improved a little, but they are still serious and need to return to Fangmu Mountain for rest. However, on the way back, the Lin family members were in a low mood, and there were fewer people in the Hao generation. The scene when they came was still vivid, but when they returned, it was a world of difference. Lin Shiming sat in a corner of the spirit boat, looking at the clouds and blue sky that kept flashing in the distance. He was filled with emotion for a while. When he returned to Fangmu Mountain, it was already 2 days later. The Kingayan Mountains were closer to the Kingayan market, but still a certain distance from the Lin family. That is, Lin Xianzi could only reach it within 2 days by driving a third-level spirit boat. As soon as he returned to Fangmu Mountain, Lin Xianzi ordered Fangmu Mountain to start martial law and strictly prohibited the family monks from going out. Even if they had important tasks outside, they all had to hide their identities. The Wang family had such a big incident, it was impossible for them not to take action. Even if they were good at silencing the witnesses, the Wang family would doubt the Lin family at the first time. This was beyond doubt. In addition, Lin Yi ordered Lin Haoyong to go to Qinghai Market and hand over a storage bag to his senior brother, Zian. Then, Lin Haoyong was asked to deal with the aftermath of the fallen monks. If there were direct relatives of monks, the relics and pensions would be given to his direct relatives. If the direct relatives had no spiritual roots, they would be recorded in the book. If there were any descendants with spiritual roots, they would inherit the spiritual stones and property. This matter was also the most critical. For a family to have cohesion, it must win the hearts of the people. After the order was given, the entire Lin family once again fell into a frenzy of cultivation. Those who had been to the Qinghai Mountains would naturally have a sense of crisis and practice with all their strength. Although those who had not been to the Qinghai Mountains did not know about the Wang family, they also envied the wealth of those who returned, secretly compared with each other, and practiced much harder than before. The most notable were Lin Shimo and Lin Shiji, who almost simultaneously announced that they would go into seclusion. Lin Shiming was not in a hurry. It was better to relax and work hard for cultivation. In Qingtao Mountain, he practiced hard all day, and now he could be considered to have stolen half a day of leisure. The most urgent thing was to recuperate his injuries. When his seventh uncle came back, he told him that he didn't need to rush to break through the late stage of key training and wait for the spiritual energy tide to upgrade the spiritual vein. On the second day, Lin Shiming, who had used up all the beast-raising pills, went to the Den Pavilion again. In the family's Earth Fire Hall, just like the previous scene, Lin Yi was teaching several alchemy apprentices. The serious expression made several apprentices bow their heads and said nothing. Second Grandpa. Lin Shiming greeted softly. The latter turned around and saw Lin Shiming coming, and waved his hand again. Several apprentices immediately grabbed the life-saving straw and hurriedly packed up the spiritual medicine and went to the next hall. Shiming, have you used up all the beast-raising pills again? Lin Yi replied to Lin Shiming in a calm tone. After seeing Lin Shiming nod, he took out several jade bottles from his storage bag, which contained the beast-raising pills. It's the same as before, I'll deduct your contribution points. Lin Shiming nodded and took out his family token, which now had more than 10,000 contribution points, so he was not afraid of the deduction. When the deduction was over, Lin Yi asked Lin Shiming again, Shiming, what do you think of alchemy? Lin Shiming was a little confused when he heard this, but he answered without thinking, of course, becoming an alchemist is a dream come true. After all, cultivation is inseparable from the four words of wealth, friends, law and land. Becoming an alchemist means that you don't have to worry about spirit stones, and you can also create value for the family. What's more, there are alchemy masters to guide you. Lin Shiming still had the idea of becoming an alchemist in his heart. And he had system prompts, which could save him a lot of detours. However, due to the slow speed of cultivation and the fear that he would not be able to build a foundation at the age of 60, Lin Shiming did not consider it for the time being. After building a foundation and having enough life, he would learn and master all these. Hearing Lin Shiming's words, Lin Yi nodded in appreciation, and was touched. Then he sighed and suddenly said, what do you think of Shitao becoming an alchemist? As soon as these words came out, Lin Shiming immediately understood that this second grandfather had something to say. It seems that in the past 2 years, Lin Yi should have persuaded Lin Shitao to learn alchemy. However, as far as she knows, although the latter is an alchemy genius, Lin Shitao, who has already practiced Qi at the 3rd level, is not keen on alchemy. On the contrary, she has a persistent love for spiritual plants and has followed Lin Shiki to take care of the spiritual peach trees on Fangmu Mountain. The fragrance of peach blossoms all over the mountain and the sea of flowers in spring have made the elders of the Lin family praise her a lot. Lin Shiming has not answered yet. Lin Yi sighed again, and said with a feeling of old age and weakness, Shiming, second grandpa is old. In another 20 years, I don't know if I can see the day when the family can make a 3rd level elixir. After saying that, he looked at the underground fire. The underground fire burned very vigorously. Because no one was controlling it, it sometimes burned very high and sometimes fell very low. At this moment, Lin Shiming saw helplessness in the old man's eyes, and also saw his concern for the family's future alchemists. The art of alchemy is very difficult for cultivators in the key refining stage, especially if they have no talent. They may not achieve anything after several years or even decades of entry. The delay of more than 10 years may ruin their path and make it impossible to build a foundation. This is also the reason why cultivators are generally not keen on alchemy. Except for those cultivators with good talent, fast learning, or dual spiritual roots, top 3 spiritual roots, and who think that their cultivation speed is worry-free. There are basically only some cultivators with 5 or 4 spiritual roots who know that they have no hope and want to find another way. But for high-level cultivators, those who have established their foundation in the Purple Mansion, they have more skills. After all, the cultivators at this time already have enough lifespan, and if they want to find another breakthrough, they also need more resources and experience. Second Grandpa, Shiming, go and persuade Shitao. Lin Shiming looked at Lin Yuki's eyes that were slightly narrowed at the earth fire, and thought of the family's situation, so he replied. Thank you for reading, collecting and recommending tickets. Thank you all readers, please continue to vote for me. Chapter 48, Spiritual Tide. The peach blossom forest of Fangmu Mountain has taken shape. At its peak, the whole Fangmu Mountain is filled with the fragrance of peach blossoms. The flowering period is approaching its end, and the pink color of the buds has begun to turn dark red. Lin Shiki took Lin Shitao to the largest second-level medium-grade spiritual peach tree, sprinkled some spiritual soil, and poured in some spiritual liquid. Third sister, Shitao. Lin Shiming held the formation card in his hand and entered the peach blossom forest according to the designated path. At this time, the appearance of the third sister has not changed at all. The only change is the cultivation level of the 5th level of key training. However, the little girl Lin Shitao next to her surprised Lin Shiming. The skinny little girl 2 years ago disappeared, and she became a graceful and charming little girl with picturesque eyebrows and skin light cream. With a green skirt, she actually has an indescribable temperament. Seventh brother. Seventh brother. The two also greeted Lin Shiming at the same time. I came to see Shitao. Lin Shiki raised her pretty eyebrows and said another sentence, which made Lin Shiming and Lin Shitao blush. Lin Shiming couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. Why did serious things always taste different when Lin Shiki said it? After all, I brought Shitao to Fangmu Mountain. Come and see her. Lin Shiming ignored Lin Shiki's teasing and explained. Okay, then I'll leave first and let you take a good look. Lin Shiki winked at Lin Shiming and actually walked to the side. Lin Shiming was stunned standing there. Thank you, Ki. Brother, for your concern. Shitao is very good. Lin Shitao wanted to hold Lin Shiki, but it was in vain. Finally, her face was slightly red and she said, her eyes were dodging when she spoke. Shitao, what do you think of the alchemist? Seeing that Lin Shiki had walked away, Lin Shiming asked directly without beating around the bush. The alchemist is very good, and Shitao also likes the alchemist. Lin Shitao answered happily, and then changed his tone and added. However, Shitao has no time to take care of the peach trees of the 7th brother. The third sister said that the peach trees of the 7th brother can get a share of the monkey wine. In addition, the great-grandfather has to supervise the cultivation. As for this matter, the peach trees can be taken care of by the third sister. Haven't you seen that the third sister has been unhappy since you came? After hearing the reason in Lin Shitao's heart, Lin Shiming's heart was also warmed. He didn't expect that this little girl would come here to take care of the peach trees and increase the harvest just because he had a share. Go and learn alchemy with confidence. My share here is not much, but I need a lot of beast-raising pills. Okay. Lin Shitao nodded without thinking. While Lin Shiming's heart was warm, he also began to understand Lin Shitao's cultivation situation and gave some guidance to the problems encountered by the latter in cultivation. After more than half an hour, Lin Shiming left. Of course, what he didn't know was that the beautiful figure of the peach blossom forest stayed for a long, long time. At the top of Fangmu Mountain, in the Kinglian Pond, the lotus leaves full of spiritual energy were extremely green. After half a month, Lin Xianzi's injury finally healed. Some of the Lin family's better qualified monks who encountered bottlenecks were called to the Kinglian Pond. Lin Shiming was one of them. In addition to him, there were 2 elders of the Hao generation, the 13th uncle Lin Haoi, and the 11th uncle Lin Haoyao, a second-level middle-grade refiner of the 8th level of key training, and the cultivator with the most hope of reaching the second-level upper-grade refiner in the family. At the same time, he was also the most likely to become a 9th-level elder of key training after the eldest uncle of the Hao generation Lin Haoyang. These 3 people, plus the old patriarch Lin Xianzi, were all the people who received the spiritual energy tide. In addition, The elders of the Lin family were also waiting on the side. The matter of upgrading the spiritual veins was of great importance and could not afford any mistakes, especially Lin Haoxiao and Lin Yushu, who had undertaken the heavy responsibility of maintaining the formation. If the formation was impacted, the spiritual energy would leak out, which would be a big deal. Get ready, it's time to start. After Lin Xianzi finished speaking, he threw the spiritual disc in his hand into the void and began to pinch the formula to perform the ritual. One after another, the spiritual spells were cast into the spiritual disc, and then the spiritual disc began to emit dense spiritual patterns. After a moment, a yellowish-brown dragon-shaped spiritual energy rushed out of the spiritual disc and surged towards the bottom of the Qinglian pond. Everyone only heard a dull dragon roar from the ground. Then the surrounding spiritual energy instantly rose, and the spiritual energy visible to the naked eye began to surge from the ground, even forming waves of gorgeous spiritual light, especially in the Qinglian pond. Sit on the king and operate the spell. Lin Xianzi said. He was the first to fly into the largest king in the center. Then Lin Shiming and the other two also found a lotus leaf and sat down one by one. Lin Yushu and Lin Haoxiao outside shouted in unison, and the formation flags flew out in their hands, and they cast several spiritual spells densely. The surrounding formations began to light up one by one, completely locking the spiritual energy tied within the formation. On the lotus leaf, Lin Shiming was highly concentrated, and the King Muju automatically operated with a rich spiritual energy. Small Zhaoshan, Big Zhaoshan. The Great Circulation, which used to take 1 or 2 hours to complete, was completed in just a quarter of an hour. And the spiritual energy cultivated was even more refined and more vigorous. I don't know how long it took, as the spiritual energy in the body increased. Finally, at a certain point, Lin Shiming only felt that something in his body was suddenly opened, and then a more overwhelming spiritual energy spread from his body. 7th level of key training. Lin Shiming murmured, and his hands clenched tightly, feeling the powerful force of the 7th level of key training. In addition, the range of his spiritual awareness was also expanded by a full 50%. Of course, Lin Shiming did not stop, but began to recall this one-level top-grade technique, the Purple Wood Heart Sutra, which he had read countless times in his mind. Before the spiritual energy tide, Lin Xianzi had already reminded him that he could use the spiritual energy tide to disperse his power and retrain. This one-level top-grade technique must be better than the yellow-level King Muju. Different small and large Zhaoshan circulation methods are a big challenge for Lin Shiming. The latter is a one-level upper-grade technique, and the complexity of the technique is naturally far superior to King Muju. Fortunately, as both are wood-based techniques, there are still some similarities. After about a quarter of an hour, Lin Shiming changed the new cultivation path and method and began to practice from the first level of key training. Of course, since it is a recultivation, it only needs to refine the spiritual energy. The condensation process of the spiritual energy is unchanged, so even if the spiritual energy tide ends, it will not affect it. It's just that you have to practice in the Qinglian pond for a longer period of time. As Lin Shiming practiced, then, the 13th uncle Lin Haowei and the 11th uncle Lin Haoyao also broke through one after another. The cultivation of the 8th and 9th levels of key training emanated, which made the elders outside nod with relief. But at this time, everyone looked at Lin Xianzi. The strength and weakness of the family at this moment had a lot to do with Lin Xianzi, and everyone looked at Lin Xianzi. Lin Xianzi was also the center of the spiritual energy tide, occupying almost most of it. While Lin Xianzi was still absorbing, he saw green lotus flowers begin to appear in the green lotus pond one after another. This made everyone in the Lin family very happy again. These green lotus flowers were all third-grade medium-quality green lotuses. They produced 10 times as many lotus flowers as before, which means that in a few years, they could harvest dozens of times the third-grade medium-quality lotus seeds. In addition, the spiritual lotus roots must have also been greatly improved, which can almost increase the income of the spiritual pond by dozens of times. At this time, everyone saw the white-haired Lin Xianzi in the middle. The white hair, like melting ice and snow, disappeared in the blink of an eye and turned into black silk. And a more terrifying spiritual pressure appeared in the green lotus pond. Lin Xianzi finally stepped into the late stage of foundation building. Please recommend, collect and read, and all handsome masters, please help. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49: The Secret of the Technique. On Fangmu Mountain, the green lotus pond has changed a lot. The emerald green lotus leaves are like big green umbrellas, dyeing the entire spiritual pond green. In this green, there are also pink lotus flowers, engraved into a beautiful picture. It is spring, but it seems to have entered midsummer. Above the spiritual pond, layers of light spiritual mist also appeared, making the entire green lotus pond and the pavilion have the charm of a fairyland spiritual pond. Lin Yi opened his eyes, felt a thick and condensed spiritual energy in his body, and breathed a long sigh of relief. It has been 2 months since the spiritual energy tied that day. Lin Yi finally succeeded in recultivating and restored the realm of the 7th level of key training. The Zhuan level upper grade Purple Wood Heart Sutra is worthy of being the Zhuan level upper grade technique practiced by the ancestors. This practice is almost twice the spiritual energy of the same level of King Muju, and the degree of condensation is also incomparable. And it has its own familiar catalytic effect. It can be said that if Lin Yi has time in the future, he can also catalyze spiritual plants. Although the effect will not be too outrageous, after catalyzing spiritual plants for 50 years every day, 25 years is still possible. In addition, his use of wood vine techniques will be faster. In the past, he used the injection of spirit and catalysis to prepare in advance when the enemy was not clear. But now, for wood vine seeds, as long as all of them are sprinkled, they can almost be effectively attacked. Especially for the highly toxic snake vine flowers, Lin Yi can catalyze 3 in one breath without drinking spirit wine, and the speed of snake vine growth will be twice as fast. At that time, Lin Yi's method of defeating them at the seed stage will not be so effective. However, during this practice, Lin Yi also discovered a shocking secret. Under the system prompt, a root of the Purple Wood Heart Sutra Great Circulation was actually modified, and it can even be said to be completely opposite. This is something Lin Yi has never encountered before. The previous prompts for the improvement of King Muju or the secret method of spiritual plants were only slightly deviated. And after he tried to practice according to the original path for a while, he still felt a faint pain in his meridians, but this was nothing for a cultivator, and ordinary people would naturally ignore it. But if there was a system prompt, it would be a big deal. He naturally believed that the system prompt would not be wrong, that is, there was a problem with the Purple Wood Heart Sutra given to him by the Kingsun sect. How could a real purple mansion technique have such a big flaw? When Lin Yi first had this suspicion, he was also frightened for a long time. Obviously, he was already a disciple of Zixun Sanrun, and was already considered half a member of the Kingsun sect. At this moment, he was shocked to think why there were so many families in Zhao State, but no family could become a Jinden family. How could the sect family maintain absolute rule? You must know that the cohesion of the family is much stronger than that of the sect. After all, the blood is of the same heart, while the sect only relies on a thin layer of master-disciple relationship. But if the technique is wrong at the beginning, and the lowland among the wealth, friends and lowland is not occupied, then how can you break through the Jinden in the future, and it is natural to be suppressed by the sect. Sure enough, it's a trap for the sect to accept the registered disciples of the family. Lin Yi couldn't figure it out before. The sect accepted the registered disciples, not to give those family members an advantage. But now it seems that it is a huge conspiracy. You don't have a good technique, then I have one, but if you don't completely leave the family and join the sect, then you practice fake techniques. Although the latter is not fatal, and may even be far better than ordinary techniques, at that time, I am afraid that the sect will still be able to control it at will. Lin Yi's face was full of distress. He didn't know how to tell his 7th uncle about this. He believed that his 7th uncle must not know about this. After all, it was at least Zifu Sanren who tampered with this technique. His 7th uncle might not be able to see it. At the same time, he didn't know whether his 7th uncle also practiced this technique. In his heart, he was completely sure that his 7th uncle must have a deal with Zixun Sanren. Zixun Sanren stared at the Kinglian sword light of his 7th uncle that day. Although he never talked about that fleeting look, he could not forget it. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. His 7th uncle was in the late stage of foundation building. There were more and more 9th level elders in the family, but he felt that the crisis was getting closer and closer. His thoughts were in a mess. In the storage bag, the three spirit beasts began to send out the emotions of desire again. Lin Shiming released the golden-winged red-haired Jinglin one by one. The red-haired monkey suddenly burst out like a slut, jumping around on the lotus leaves. If these lotus leaves were not third-level spirit plants, they would have fallen into the spirit pool long ago. After Lin Shiming warned for a while, the red-haired demon monkey reluctantly jumped back and made a fuss around Lin Shiming. The golden-winged mantis was still squeaking at Lin Shiming's feet. It was much more honest than the red-haired demon monkey. And based on the performance last time, the terrifying speed of the golden-winged mantis and its golden mantis knife still made Lin Shiming very satisfied. The golden-winged eagle stood on Lin Shiming's shoulder, quietly pecking at feathers one by one. After taking out the spiritual food and the beast-raising pills and feeding them one by one, Lin Shiming did not stop for a moment and put the three into the spiritual beast bag. If these three spiritual beasts make trouble in the spiritual pool and are seen by the seventh uncle, it will be bad. Lin Shiming stood up and walked out of the spiritual pool. Lin Yi was surprisingly not nearby today. In the pavilion, the chessboard was still the same. The only difference was that the white pieces had moved, and the black pieces also moved. The white pieces began to counterattack, and the black pieces also showed their murderous intentions. Lin Shiming stood beside the chessboard, his eyes narrowed, and stood there for a long time. Lin family, the meeting hall. At this moment, all the elders gathered together, and Lin Yi sat in the hall. Everyone was very serious and had some expectations. Lin Hao held a storage bag in his hand, and the storage bag contained a full 120,000 spiritual stones. And 2 months later, it would be the day for the Kingsuan sect's Kingsuan market to auction the foundation building pills. Seventh uncle, the spirit stones are ready. Well, Hao Yuan, Hao Yuang, Yu Qing, Yu Shui, and Yu Zhang will go with us this time, and the rest of you must be careful. I guess the Li family can't sit still this time. After saying that, Lin Yi's face was also full of solemnity. A family that has fallen to the point of having only one foundation building cultivator has to face a purple mansion family. And the pressure is all on him. Yes, the elders replied in unison. By the way, if Shiming has come out of retreat, Shiming will go this time too, and call Shichi by the way. Lin Yi added. Immediately, the Lin family began to mobilize all members. If someone pays attention, they will find that some cultivators have followed the elder and quietly left Fangmu Mountain. Thanks to that touch of crimson for the monthly ticket. Chapter 50, Enemy Again. 10 days later, a spirit boat flew out of Fangmu Mountain and flew away. Almost at the same time as the spirit boat flew away, a large amount of white mist surged out from Fangmu Mountain. In a blink of an eye, it was white and covered the entire Fangmu Mountain. From a distance, no trace of Fangmu Mountain could be found. The spirit boat had been stimulated to its largest appearance at this moment, and several rooms appeared. Only Lin Yi sat in the front of the spirit boat, with his black hair blowing in the wind, while the others were quietly practicing in the room. Lin Shiming was no exception. In a room in the spirit boat, he quietly meditated and practiced. In front of him, there was a jade box and the inheritance stone obtained from Teoho Valley. On that day, after learning about the trip to Kingsuanfang City, Lin Shiming began to prepare to practice the secret method of planting spirits in the skywood. This secret method learned from the inheritance stone could finally come in handy. The most basic spirit planting of this secret method is divided into 2 parts, refining the heart of the skywood, and the second is to refine the heart of the skywood and plant spirits. To refine the heart of heavenly wood, one must take the core part of 100-year-old spiritual wood, and then use secret methods and a large amount of spiritual materials to carve spiritual patterns and forge it. When he was at the Lin family, Lin Shiming spent 1,000 contribution points to exchange for a 100-year-old green for wood heart from the family, and spent another 500 contribution points to find other spiritual materials one by one. The only pity is that the green for wood is only a second-level medium-grade spiritual material, and the family treasure house does not have a second-level high-grade spiritual wood, otherwise the power can be increased by another 50%. The secret method and the carving of spiritual patterns are not complicated. Lin Shiming spent 9 days refining it day and night. Now, after the cultivation is restored to the peak and the spirit is relaxed, you can start to plant spirits. In order to avoid mistakes, Lin Shiming burned some yellow cloud grass again, checked the inheritance stone, and memorized the secret method again and again until he was familiar with it. A quarter of an hour later, Lin Shiming took a deep breath and finally adjusted his state to the best. Lin Shiming took out the glittering heart of the skywood, dripped his blood, and then in one go, he cast hundreds of spiritual spells. For a moment, a large number of spiritual patterns emerged from the heart of the skywood, and began to resonate with his spiritual power. Finally, with a burst of spiritual light, the heart of the skywood turned into spiritual light and went directly into Lin Shiming's body through his mouth. As soon as the heart of the skywood entered his body, Lin Shiming felt that the spiritual energy in his body was out of control and rushed towards the heart of the skywood. This startled Lin Shiming, and he quickly took out the monkey wine and spiritual stone to restore his spiritual energy. The terrifying absorption lasted for half an hour. Finally, the spiritual energy of the heart of the skywood was full and no longer absorbed the spiritual energy in the body. And he could feel that he could take out the spiritual energy of the heart of the skywood at any time and use it without any abnormality. At this point, Lin Shiming breathed a sigh of relief, and the secret method of the skywood spiritual planting was successful. At this time, in the heart of the skywood, Lin Shiming could clearly feel that there was twice as much spiritual energy as before. If fighting with the same level, this double amount of spiritual energy would almost make the enemy despair. You know, the spiritual energy restored by the use of elixir and spiritual water is far more superficial than the spiritual energy cultivated by oneself, and it is also consumed faster. After practicing the secret method of cultivating the spirit of the skywood, Lin Shiming did not stop, but continued to meditate and practice, and began to practice the Purple Wood Heart Sutra. Soon, he was pleasantly surprised to find that the degree of condensation of his spiritual power had increased by another 10%. This secret method actually has such a special effect, and Lin Shiming couldn't help but smile. I wonder if every time I practice and drain the spiritual energy in the future, it will have the same effect. You know, the more condensed the spiritual energy is, the higher the possibility of breaking through the foundation. This secret method is indirectly increasing the possibility of breaking through the foundation. Next, on the way to Qingxuanfang City, everything began to become comfortable. Half a month later, on the way forward, the spirit boat found that there were more people driving flying swords and various flying magic tools, and even saw many people riding flying spirit beasts. They were all heading towards Qingxuanfang City. Most of them were key training cultivators, a few were foundation building cultivators, and as for the Purple Mansion cultivators, Lin Shiming did not see any. Presumably, even if such beings flew over their heads, they would not necessarily fail to notice them. At the same time, on the way, Lin Shiming also saw what the cruelty of casual cultivators was. Several casual cultivators actually squatted on a small hilltop, specifically attacking the key training casual cultivators passing by, killing them and stealing treasures. Then the casual cultivators who were in a partnership started to fight among themselves, and only withdrew when they saw the Lin family's spirit boat arrived. In this way, after another day of circling around, the Lin family's spirit boat finally landed outside Qingxuan City. This was not the first time Lin Shiming came to Qingxuan City, but this time, he felt that it was completely different from the previous Qingxuan City. Although there were the same number of cultivators in the past, this moment was the most crowded. The street vendors that used to be in the city ended up at the city gate, with many independent cultivators setting up stalls there. Those independent cultivators can't afford the entrance fee, and they want to earn some spiritual stones through this event. Lin Yuqing explained to Lin Shiming and Lin Shiji. Obviously, this was not the first time the Great Elder had come. When they followed Lin Xianzi into the city, the 8 people of the Lin family paid a total of 80 spiritual stones. It cost 10 spiritual stones per person just to enter the city, and Lin Shiming finally understood why the street vendors had come here. Entering Qingxuan City, the city was even more prosperous. Let's find a restaurant first. Lin Xianzi said lightly, and took the lead in choosing a direction to walk. Lin Xianzi. Suddenly an angry voice sounded, and several people couldn't help but stop. It's you. It was the Wang family that was walking towards them. Wang Yunqi took the lead and walked in front. When he saw Lin Xianzi's black hair and the spiritual power exuding from his body, he didn't know that Lin Shiming had taken away their Wang family's opportunity and killed dozens of their Wang family cultivators. Instantly, his face turned purple with anger, and he stared at Lin Xianzi with gnashing teeth, wishing he could kill Lin Xianzi on the spot. Lin Xianzi did not look at Wang Yunqi at the first time. Instead, He looked at a middle-aged monk in a blue robe behind Wang Yunqi. The middle-aged monk's blue robe was particularly eye-catching, and it was embroidered with all kinds of centipedes and poisonous insects. When Lin Xianzi looked at the other party, the middle-aged man also looked at Lin Xianzi. Neither of them spoke, but the silence was more full of gunpowder. For the first time, Lin Shiming saw that his seventh uncle's hands were shaking slightly, as if he was holding a peerless sword. The identity of the person in front of him also appeared in Lin Shiming's mind. Li family, Li Changzi, poison cultivator. At the same time, he has another identity. 30 years ago, the person who seriously injured Lin Xianzi. Please recommend, read, and collect. Thank you for your support. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.